Chapter 996. At that moment, the Sword of Essence restoring once again unleashed a burst of sharp qi. The disc projection instantly shattered and spatial fluctuations surged outwards. The seal was broken, revealing a circular screen of light with a diameter of about 10 feet. This was the entrance to the mystic realm that Wang Daoyuan was extremely familiar with. This seal is quite powerful. If I were alone, it wouldn't have been so easy to break this seal. Since we can work together, we should be able to break the seal. The person who left this seal must have a cultivation base slightly higher than mine, but not by much. This person should be at the soul formation initial stage, no higher than the soul formation intermediate stage. This place is extremely dangerous. Even soul formation stage cultivators can't withstand the spatial rifts. Soul formation stage cultivators don't need pure yang spirit objects either. Why would they risk coming here and leave behind such a seal? Xianxia nodded. This seal isn't very advanced. But from the looks of it, it shouldn't have been here for long. A few hundred years at most. Zhou Xian smiled. Aren't you looking for pure yang spirit objects? So what if it's someone who left behind this seal? Since the entrance to the mystic realm has already appeared, let's go find them as soon as possible. Wang Daoyuan smiled. You're right, Shadow Master. It doesn't matter who left the seal as long as there's a pure yang spirit object inside. With that said, he summoned his clone, Devil Prison. Xianxia, protect Devil Prison and go in to investigate. A mystic realm with such a tight seal might be hiding something special. Devil Prison is a myriad arts devil. He's much more powerful than the average human cultivator at the peak of the Yuanying stage. With your power, you should be able to hold off a soul formation final stage cultivator for a while. You guys go in first. I'll go in after you. Xianxia didn't object. Devil Prison's clone carried Xianxia's cauldron and entered the screen of light. The complete doppelganger soul nurturing technique allowed him to sense his clone even through the mystic realm. Wang Daoyuan used Devil Prison's clone to observe the situation inside the mystic realm. This mystic realm wasn't very big. It was only about 100 kilometers in radius. Even though it was at the bottom of the ocean, seawater couldn't enter or leave the mystic realm at will. The mystic realm was not a vast ocean. Instead, it was filled with mountains and rivers. After the Devil Prison and the Xianxia cauldron entered the secret realm, there was a sizable lake in front of them. There were many small mountain peaks in the surroundings. There were also clear springs and waterfalls on the mountains. There were also many flat lands in the valleys between the mountains. However, there was one thing that made Wang Daoyuan very curious. Outside the entrance of the secret realm was the bottom of the sea, which was not connected to the land. In the secret realm, there were green pines and cypresses as well as all kinds of spiritual herbs. It was very possible that this was the medicine garden of some senior cultivator. He really didn't know where all these spiritual plants came from. The yang qi in this secret realm was extremely abundant. Moreover, it was level 6 yang qi. If he stayed in this mystic realm for 2 or 3 years, he should be able to absorb enough pure yang qi. As for the source of the pure yang qi, it came from a volcano on the other side of the secret realm. Although there was no lava flowing out, there was extremely pure yang energy. There should be a powerful pure yang spirit item. His doppelganger Devil Prison did not discover any danger. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Xian also entered the mystic realm. The two of them brought their doppelganger and the Xianxia cauldron to the volcano. In order to prevent demonic beasts from attacking the mystic realm, Wang Daoyuan's soul-chasing compass in his sea of consciousness was always activated. When they flew to the center of the mystic realm, a blue light spot suddenly appeared on the compass. This light spot was not dim like the dragon species they encountered before. Instead, it was very bright. A level 6 demonic beast should not have such a strong divine sense. It was possible that a human soul formation cultivator was hiding here. They did not detect it before, which meant that this person was deliberately hiding. Now that they had detected it, it was possible that this person wanted to make a move. The position of the light spot on the compass showed that this person should be about 30 miles behind them. He immediately transmitted his voice to Zhou Xian. There is a soul formation cultivator hiding behind us. I am not confident that I can defeat him. Be careful. Zhou Xian's expression changed. She nodded solemnly. Wang Daoyuan then summoned his doppelganger Shui Quan from the space of the spiritual pearl. His cultivation level was also at the peak of the Yuanying realm. 3 peak Yuanying realm cultivators and a level 6 Xianxia cauldron. They were able to fight against a soul formation cultivator. Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands and said, I came here in search of pure Yang's spiritual items. I came here by mistake and disturbed your cultivation. Please forgive me. No one replied. Wang Daoyuan said again, I have already detected your location. I did not mean to offend you. If you agree, we will leave now. A deep voice came from underground. Doppelganger soul nurturing technique. You can also have 2 doppelganger bodies. You are less than 500 years old and have such a cultivation level. You must be a direct disciple of the Imperial Regency. Could it be that the blood shark has declined to such a level that even direct disciples have to risk their lives to find opportunities to break through to the soul formation realm? I am not a disciple of the Imperial Regency. I am just an itinerant cultivator. I came across an inheritance left behind by a cultivator who escaped from the Imperial Regency. That is how I learned the doppelganger soul nurturing technique. Suddenly, an icy blue figure flew out from the bottom of the lake. This person's spiritual power was not weak, but it was not strong either. He should be an early-stage soul formation cultivator. Wang Daoyuan was relieved. He had 2 doppelganger bodies and the Xianxia cauldron. Even if he could not win, it should not be difficult to fight to a draw. The person snorted. Do you think I am easy to fool? Your spiritual power has reached the peak of the Yuanying realm. Your body is also strong and your divine sense is not weak. The Wen family of Mystic Island has been around for 30,000 years and we have never had someone like you. Which itinerant cultivator has this ability? Wang Daoyuan saw this person's face. He was very familiar. He said that he was from the Wen clan and that was correct. His appearance was 60 to 70% similar to the profound ice fairy. May I ask if Senior is the family head of the Wen family Moon Sungcheon? Oh. I have been trapped here for 300 years. I didn't expect a junior to know my name. Since you know my name, you must know a bit about the Wen family. How is the Wen family now? This was indeed the former family head of the Wen family, the father of the Black Ice Fairy. I have never been to Mystic Island. I only know your daughter Wen Bingxian and your old servant Wen Zhong. Moon Sungcheon quickly asked, How is the Ice Fairy? Not long after you left, the Wen family had internal strife. The Wen family members who were loyal to you either died or escaped. Your daughter was also hunted down by the new family head of the Wen family. Luckily, Wen Zhong risked his life to protect her. He took your daughter out of Mystic Island and wandered the Sea of 7 Stars. Wen Zhong was also severely injured and couldn't be healed. When I met them 100 years ago, your daughter was already at the peak of the Golden Core realm. Wen Zhong didn't have long to live. I healed Wen Zhong's injuries and your daughter gave me a 7 Stars token. After that, I saved both of them in the 7 Stars secret realm. I didn't see them for 100 years. Not long ago I saw them on Lone Star Island. Your daughter is already at the mid-stage of the Yuanying realm. Wen Zhong has also broken through to the Yuanying realm. They have been on Lone Star Island for more than 20 years. They entered the setting sun abyss many times to find you but to no avail. When I was looking for the pure Een spiritual item, they were surrounded by sharks. I saved them again. In order to get closer, Wang Daoyuan dug up all the old stories. Moon Sungcheon was furious when he heard about the Wen family's internal strife and his daughter's near death. When he heard that his daughter was already at the mid-stage of the Yuanying realm and even Uncle Zhong had broken through to the Yuanying realm, he was relieved. Do you have any evidence for what you said? Wang Daoyuan took out the beast skin book Uncle Zhong gave him. When Zhong gave this to me, you should be able to recognize it. Also, when I saved them in the 7 Stars mystic realm, I asked for a nascent formation fruit and a few spirit herbs as compensation. You entered the 7 Stars mystic realm and found a nascent formation fruit tree in the belly of a small mountain on the drifting cloud mountain. However, the nascent formation fruit hadn't ripened yet, so you didn't touch it. Instead, you left it for your descendants. There was a stage 5 spirit spring and 2 acres of spirit fields in the belly of the mountain. I don't have any other evidence. It doesn't matter if you believe me or not. Although I'm a Yuanying realm cultivator, I have 2 devil avatars and a stage 6 Dharma artifact. I may not lose. Chapter 997. Moon Sungcheon took the book and examined it carefully. This is indeed Wen Zhong's spiritual sense imprint, and it wasn't left for long. Probably matches the time that you mentioned. What you said about the drifting cloud mountain is true, so I'll believe you for now. I didn't expect my daughter to suffer so much while I was trapped here for hundreds of years. You saved my daughter's life many times and I can't thank you enough. Why would I attack you so easily? Bingxian is also a pitiful child. Her mother died not long after she was born. I had to manage the Wen family's affairs and didn't have much time to take care of her. Now I've caused her to wander for hundreds of years. I'm not worthy of being a father. Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands and said, Senior Wen, I have something I don't understand. Since you've reached the Soul Formation realm, why didn't you leave this place and return to Mystic Island? Moon Sungcheon sighed. It's not that I don't want to leave. It's just that when I came here to find pure yang spiritual items, I was chased by a rank 6 demonic beast. I managed to escape to a place with unstable space and got rid of the demonic beast. I didn't expect to meet a lava giant at the lava river. At that time I was only at the peak of the Yuanying realm and was no match for him. There were many spatial cracks outside and I didn't dare to run around, so I was heavily injured. I was lucky to have escaped into this mystic realm by accident. I used a sealing technique to seal the entrance of the secret realm. At that time, there was an extremely powerful rank 6 vine spiritual plant in this secret realm. After I entered this secret realm, I accidentally encountered this plant and had a great battle. I was already heavily injured and now I was even more injured. Unfortunately, I didn't have any suitable spiritual medicine, so my injuries were delayed. My soul didn't suffer much damage, but my physical body had a huge problem. It was constantly weakening. My qi and blood were quickly declining and my spiritual power was also affected. With my situation at that time, it was impossible for me to leave this secret realm alive. If this continued, my cultivation and physical body would become weaker and weaker. Before I came here, I had already collected pure Yin spiritual items. I decided to take a risk and forcefully break through to the soul formation realm. Perhaps I could use the gift of heaven and earth to completely recover and escape. However, my condition at the time was simply too poor. Although I was lucky enough to break through to the soul formation stage, the gift of heaven and earth couldn't completely heal me. It was just that his injuries had stopped worsening. His body's recovery was limited, and it was difficult for him to improve his vitality by even half a step. I've tried to get out, but in my current state I can't stay underwater for too long. In addition, the spatial rifts outside are constantly changing. I don't have the means to investigate the spatial rifts, so I can only wait for death in this secret realm. Wang Daoyuan thought for a moment, then smiled and said, I might be able to bring Senior out. If Senior trusts me, you can enter this cauldron. With the cauldron blocking the pressure from the bottom of the sea, Senior's body won't suffer too much damage. It's just that this junior has to go to the volcano to retrieve the pure yang spiritual item before leaving this place. Moon Sungcheon looked at him and thought for a long time before he said, Forget it. My cultivation can't improve. If I continue to stay here, I will turn into a pile of bones sooner or later. Why don't I take a risk and trust you this once? However, the crater was not safe. Some of the vines that hurt me before were afraid of ice-type Dharma spells, so I removed most of them. There are only some left near the crater where ice-type Dharma spells are restricted. I'm not sure if I can get rid of them. If I'm hurt by them, it won't be a joke. Also, the pure yang spiritual item in the volcano should be the core of this secret realm. Don't take them all or this secret realm will collapse. According to my speculation, this secret realm should have been an island. When the golden crow fell, the surrounding space shattered, and the island sank into the sea, turning into a secret realm. After all, it's a place left behind from ancient times, and there's a level 6 spirit vein. It's better not to destroy it. Wang Daoyuan nodded. Destroying the secret realm will harm the harmony of the world. Of course I won't do that. I just want enough pure yang spiritual items to break through to the soul formation realm. I won't be too greedy. Senior, please wait here for a moment. I'll be back soon with my Dao partner. Then he flew to the crater with Zhou Xian and his 2 clones. When they were more than 10 miles away from the crater, several vines suddenly stretched out from the ground. These vines were as thick as an adult's arm and they looked like blood jade. Wang Daoyuan swung his sword at the vines, but he only managed to push them back and didn't cause any damage. Although he only swung his sword casually, it was enough to severely injure an ordinary late-stage Yuanying cultivator. The fact that these vines could remain unscathed showed that they weren't ordinary. Xianxia glanced at the vines and said, This should be a dragon-locking vine. It can grow to level 7. Legend has it that hundreds of thousands of years ago, these vines once trapped a level 7 true dragon to death. Xinlian school also planted these things to refine magic tools. I'm quite familiar with them. Wang Daoyuan immediately became spirited after hearing this. Zhou Xian also quickly said, if we can tame these vines and give them to Ming Xian, we won't have to worry about her in the future. You guys should be careful. These dragon-locking vines aren't easy to deal with. They like to suck human blood. They're very strong and cultivators of the same level can hardly pose a threat to them. Xinlian school planted some dragon-locking vines, but they injured many disciples. Later they could only give up on planting them and destroy all the dragon-locking vines. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, these vines are only at the peak of level 5, the same level as me. I have many tricks up my sleeve. I don't believe that I can't deal with these vines. What's its weakness? Ice and thunder elements have some restraining effect on it. Other than that, we can only destroy it by force. Wang Daoyuan could cast some ice and thunder element spells, but they weren't powerful enough. To deal with such a tough nut, it was better to play hard. These vines kept attacking Wang Daoyuan. If he didn't get rid of them and rashly entered the crater, he could be blocked at any time. Previously, when he attacked with his sword, these vines were unharmed. Unless he used Yinglong's demon-slaying sword, there wouldn't be any obvious effect. With the moon Sungqian around, he didn't dare to use his trump card. The true sunfire and the Nanmingli fire were known to burn everything, but the true sunfire was not the true sunfire. There was level 6 yang energy in this volcano, but the dragon-locking vines weren't afraid at all. The true sunfire should be useless too. The Nanmingli fire's grade was too low, so it wouldn't be effective. He activated his divine power domain and converted all the surrounding spirit chi into the earth element. Then he led the dust-returning flame to burn the dragon-locking vines. The dust-returning flame could corrode most physical things, so the dragon-locking vines were also a little afraid. When they saw the dust-returning flame, they all retreated. Wang Daoyuan controlled the dust-returning flame to chase after them. These guys huddled together and wrapped themselves into a ball. The dust-returning flame couldn't penetrate deep and could only burn the surface. These dragon-locking vines were really difficult to deal with. The dust-returning flame burned them very slowly. At the same time, new vines were constantly growing from their roots, and the burning speed couldn't keep up with their growth speed. The spiritual power needed for the dragon-locking vines to grow was directly extracted from the spirit vein, so the divine power domain couldn't interfere. If this continued, it would be very difficult to deal with them even after 8 to 10 years. Wang Daoyuan drew out another wisp of life spiritual fire. As long as it was a living thing, it would definitely have vitality. Not only could the life spiritual fire produce vitality, but it could also extract the vitality of other living things. The two spiritual fires mixed together, and Wang Daoyuan used the life spiritual fire to execute the Azure Dragon life-stealing technique. An azure dragon formed by the life spiritual fire opened its mouth and sucked at the dragon-locking vines that had shrunk into a ball. Faint white clouds kept floating out of the dragon-locking vines and entering the azure dragon's mouth. After losing part of its vitality, the dragon-locking vines' strength plummeted, and the speed at which they grew new dragon-locking vines became slower and slower. Seeing that this move was effective, Wang Daoyuan condensed another 2 azure dragons and executed the azure dragon life-stealing technique together. The 3 azure dragons extracted vitality at the same time. After a dozen seconds, the dragon-locking vines withered. They couldn't grow any new vines and could only desperately huddle together to resist the corrosion of the dust-returning flame. Chapter 998. Wang Daoyuan didn't stop just because the dragon-locking vine had withered. The 3 flaming dragons continued to extract its vitality. After a few dozen breaths of time, the dragon-locking vine didn't even have the strength to curl up tightly. After all, it was just a spiritual plant and hadn't developed intelligence yet. It was completely relying on instinct to fight the enemy. It was okay to fight against ordinary methods, but when it encountered strange methods, it could only be slaughtered. After a few dozen breaths of time, many of the dragon-locking vines were burned, leaving only one root. Wang Daoyuan used his divine sense to explore the surroundings to see if there were other dragon-locking vines. On the other side of the volcano, he found a few more dragon-locking vines. These dragon-locking vines were relatively small. They only grew a 1-meter-long vine that was as thick as a finger. They looked no different from the huge dragon-locking vine, but their color was darker. The grade of these dragon-locking vines was also relatively low. They were only third-tier high grade. From the looks of it, they should have just grown. This dragon-locking vine was perfect for transplanting. After moving all these dragon-locking vines into the space of the spiritual bead, he left the dragon-locking vine with only one root left for the time being. Its roots had already gone deep underground. It would take a long time to completely get rid of it. It was better to let it continue to stay here. It could be considered the guardian of this secret realm. After dealing with the dragon-locking vine, Wang Daoyuan came to the crater of the volcano. There was a lava lake more than 10,000 feet below. The fire spiritual energy in the lava was extremely rich. It should be at the level of 6th tier mid-grade. With Wang Daoyuan's body, he couldn't stay inside for a long time. Lord Shadow Lord, wait outside. I'll go down and bring out the pure yang spiritual item. Then we'll leave here. Although my body isn't as strong as yours, I also have a special physique and am blessed by the heavens in terms of controlling fire. In a place like the lava lake where fire spiritual energy is extremely rich, the power of spells will be multiplied, and I can resist the invasion of pure yang qi. Don't worry, after going down I won't drag you down. Okay, you follow behind me. Leaving 2 demon clones outside to watch, Moon Sungcheon was an outsider after all, so he still had to hold back. The 2 jumped into the lava lake. This lava lake wasn't deep, only 200 to 300 feet. Soon they arrived at the bottom of the lava lake. There was a place with strong spatial fluctuations. He could clearly feel that spiritual energy was constantly pouring in from this place, but people couldn't pass through it. This mystic realm used this place with extremely strong spatial fluctuations to exchange energy with the outside world. In this place where the spatial fluctuations were extremely strong, there was a crimson fireball with a diameter of over 3 feet. It exuded an extremely dense yang qi. This was the core of the secret realm. Wang Daoyuan used his spiritual consciousness to probe the sphere, but his spiritual consciousness could not penetrate it. If something were to happen to this 6th-order mid-grade fireball, neither of them would be able to escape. He took out the Xianxia cauldron and said, Xianxia, this is the source of yang energy in this space. Take a look at what this is. I want to take a part of it, but I don't want to destroy this mystic realm. How should I do it? Xianxia showed himself. This big fireball is only formed by the essence of the magma. The real core of the secret realm is inside the fireball. You can do whatever you want with this fireball. There won't be any problems. Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan was relieved. He released the crimson yang real fire and tried to refine the spiritual energy inside. The flames wrapped around the big fireball. Not only did it not refine the outer shell, but the big fireball also took away a lot of spiritual energy. Wang Daoyuan had traveled around for more than 400 years, but he had never encountered this kind of situation. Xianxia smiled and said, You really came across a heavenly treasure. Unfortunately, you don't need it. Something that could devour the spiritual fire must be a spiritual fire of a higher grade. There should be a spiritual fire inside, which is a rare treasure for others. You already have the 5 elements spiritual fire, so this spiritual fire is useless. Destroying the mystic realm will damage your luck too much. Moreover, with your cultivation at the peak of Yuanying, you might lose your life if you try to forcibly refine the 6th-order spiritual fire. There is no need to pay such a price for a treasure that you don't need. I know the danger of subduing the spiritual fire. Naturally, I won't take this risk. This earth fire has such strong yang energy because of the golden crow's influence. It's much more convenient to take the pure yang energy. I only need to take some of the rootless fire and it won't hurt the fire seed. Xianxia, I'll leave the matter of preserving the rootless fire to you. Master, don't worry. The space in my stomach is big enough. If it's filled with the rootless fire, it's enough for hundreds of people to refine their yuanying. After saying this, the Xianxia cauldron pointed the mouth of the big fireball and began to suck. The surface of the fireball was a kind of fiery red liquid. It couldn't withstand the power of the Xianxia cauldron and was quickly sucked away. After 100 breaths, the big fireball was gone, revealing a fist-sized flame. This flame was red and gold. It was a bit similar to the crimson yang real fire, but it was more like the earth fire. Zhou Xian stared at the flame for a long time. There seems to be something in the flame. It's very extraordinary. I feel a sense of fear when I look at the flame. Wang Daoyuan was a bit surprised. Why don't I feel anything? It should be a problem with your bloodline. The mythological beast bloodline in your body is thin, and it's the bloodline of the 5 elements mythological beast. You're a top existence among mythological beasts. The human bloodline won't be suppressed by any other bloodline. It's normal that you can't feel it. My mythological beast bloodline is the Crimson One. My status in the Phoenix clan can only be considered below average. When I encounter those top mythological beasts, I feel fear. There might be something related to the top mythological beasts in this spiritual fire. That's why I feel fear. This place isn't far from where the golden crow fell. The spiritual item in the fire should be related to the golden crow mythological bird. With that said, Wang Daoyuan was also somewhat moved. According to legend, the golden crow that fell here was an 8th rank mythological bird. Any random item on its body was an incredible treasure. Even if he couldn't use it, the red-winged crow could. He had the golden crow bloodline. Just absorbing something from the 8th rank golden crow would bring him great benefits. Wang Daoyuan asked, Xianxia, are you confident in suppressing this flame? If you have the cultivation of the soul formation stage and use all your strength, the 6th rank spiritual fire won't be a problem. But your cultivation is low and you can't use all my strength. Some of your methods can't be used here, so I can only do my best. Wang Daoyuan nodded. Hey, just do your best. The divine ability domain was activated and converted a large amount of fire spiritual power into water attribute. It drew out the Gui water death flame and ignited the water spiritual power, weakening the power of the spiritual fire in front of him. Spiritual fires of the same attribute could devour each other. When spiritual fires of different attributes were together, they would only conflict with each other. As soon as the Gui water death flame surrounded it, the crimson spiritual fire in front of him immediately became violent. A large amount of crimson flames surged out and consumed each other. There was a divine explosion and the entire volcano was shaking slightly. Wang Daoyuan was also afraid of destroying this secret realm, so he didn't dare to be too heavy-handed. The Xianxia cauldron released a suppressive force, and at the same time, it was constantly devouring the crimson flames. Although the spiritual fire was strong, it didn't have intelligence and could only rely on the spiritual fire's innate instinct to act. No matter how strong it was useless if it didn't know how to use it. Under the pincer attack of Wang Daoyuan and the Xianxia cauldron, the crimson flame's resistance was getting weaker and weaker. The outer flame was getting smaller and smaller. After a quarter of an hour, there was only a fire seed the size of a longan left, wrapped in a thin red flame. There was only a fire seed left and it could no longer wrap around the thing hidden inside. The thing hidden in the flame was only a feather. This feather was very small, only 2 inches long. Looking at the shape, it shouldn't be the long feathers on the wings and tail, but the downy feathers on the bird's body. The feather was overall black with golden stripes on it. Such a small downy feather contained extremely terrifying pure yang qi. Not only was the quality extremely high, but the quantity was also very large. The true fire of red yang couldn't produce so much pure yang qi even after burning for a few years. He really didn't know how such a small downy feather could carry so much pure yang qi of extremely high quality. To be able to have so much yang qi, it could only be the downy feather of the golden crow. Chapter 999. At this time, half of the golden crow's feathers were still hidden in the fire seed. Wang Daoyuan didn't dare to take it away. Xianxia, take this feather. This should be the golden crow's feather. Contains a lot of energy. If you give it to the red-winged crow to refine, his cultivation and bloodline will improve greatly. Don't take it for yourself. After I reach the soul formation stage, you will also have an endless amount of level 6 spiritual power. Master, don't worry. I know what to do. The pure yang energy in the golden crow's feathers won't have much effect on me. After saying that, the Xianxia cauldron released a strong suction force. The fire seed couldn't even protect itself, so it didn't care about anything else. The Xianxia cauldron easily took the feather. With this feather, refining yuanying is a piece of cake. Scope. Zhou Xian was a little surprised. For leaving? I didn't help much. How difficult can it be to bully a spiritual fire that has almost no intelligence? There's no need to trouble Lord Shadow Master with such a small matter. The two of them left the volcano with the Xianxia cauldron. Moon Sungqian was already waiting for them outside the volcano. You're finally out. The volcano has been shaking and the secret realm is a little unstable. I was worried that you wouldn't be able to come out. I wanted to go in and help, but I was worried that you would misunderstand, so I could only wait for you here. Wang Daoyuan smiled. Senior, thank you for your concern. I just extracted some energy from the core of the secret realm, which caused the space to be a little unstable. It should be fine now. Senior, please enter the cauldron. I'll take you out. Moon Sungcheon nodded. Thank you. The Xianxia cauldron released a suction force and sucked him in. The two demon clones couldn't help much in the deep sea, so Wang Daoyuan also put them in the space of the spiritual pearl. Then he left the secret realm with Zhou Xian and returned to the bottom of the sea. After they left, the spiritual fire in the volcano absorbed a huge amount of spiritual energy and quickly recovered. Zhou Xian took out the silver light space-splitting mirror and illuminated the surrounding space cracks. The two of them left the place along the way they came. Half a day later, a blue light spot appeared on the soul-chasing compass in Wang Daoyuan's sea of consciousness. The dragon species I met on the way here is really patient. He's still waiting outside. He's just 300 miles south. It seems like he's determined to eat me. I have no choice but to fight this tough battle. In a while you will stay near the spatial rift. That dragon species won't dare to cause trouble for you. I can also fight with this dragon species freely. Be careful. Don't try to show off. If we really can't beat them, we can just hide in a place with a spatial rift. At worst, we can just stay at the bottom of the sea for a few years. It won't be too late to deal with this dragon after you reach the soul formation stage. Don't worry, I'm still confident in dealing with a 6th rank lower grade dragon. The two of them continued to walk forward until they were about 100 miles away from the dragon species. Just wait here. The silver light space splitting mirror can already illuminate all the spatial rifts on the road ahead. Don't worry about me. Zhou Xian nodded. Be careful. If you can't beat them, call me. I'm not useless. Then Wang Daoyuan followed the guidance of the silver light space splitting mirror, avoided a few spatial rifts and came to the vicinity of the dragon species. This time he saw the dragon species clearly. This guy was really weird. The concentration of dragon blood was obviously not low, but it didn't look like a dragon at all. Only the pair of dragon horns on its head looked decent, but its body looked like a big carp covered in silver scales. This big carp was quite fat. Wang Daoyuan was hungry. You're quite patient. You've been waiting for me here. How dare you come out? This dragon species was very sneaky. Before it finished speaking, it appeared behind Wang Daoyuan, for fear that he would escape into a spatial rift again. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, Don't worry. I dared to come out because I want to fight with you. If I wasn't confident, I would have escaped from other places long ago. With that, his body turned into a half-dragon state and scales covered his whole body. The dragon species looked envious. Where did you get this method? You can actually transform into a true dragon? It's useless even if I give it to you. After I kill you, I'll snatch it and have a look. Opening its mouth and spitting out 2 silver lights, Wang Daoyuan didn't dare to underestimate it and directly took out the Sword of Origin Restoration. The sword embryo was personally created by the supreme divinity Xianxia. Even if it couldn't defeat the dragon, it wouldn't be unable to withstand the opponent's attack. A large amount of spiritual power was injected into the sword. When the silver light flew over, he swung the sword and slashed out. 2 soft sounds rang out and Wang Daoyuan retreated continuously. He retreated more than 30 steps before stopping. Under this attack, the sea was very calm. Then countless slight cracking sounds rang out, and a few reefs nearby instantly shattered. This method startled Wang Daoyuan. He carefully checked his body and found that there were no injuries. The strength of this dragon species also shocked Wang Daoyuan. He immediately activated his divine power domain. The 2 pectoral fins of the dragon species turned into 2 dragon claws. Of course, these dragon claws weren't real. The concentration of dragon blood in front of him wasn't low, at least not inferior to his 2 arowanas. At the very least, it should have a dragon head, but this guy only had a pair of dragon horns. The 2 dragon claws instantly enlarged and grabbed at Wang Daoyuan. Previously, it had repelled him with a casual attack. Now that it showed its true ability, Wang Daoyuan didn't dare to take it head-on. A black flame appeared in front of him. With the help of the domain divine power, the flame quickly spread. A yellow dragon phantom appeared on Wang Daoyuan's body and dodged the dragon species' attack at an extremely fast speed. Then 30 black fireballs appeared in the black flame and smashed towards the dragon species. The dragon species was stunned. It didn't have the mind to deal with Wang Daoyuan now. It quickly waved its 2 dragon claws to block the 10th water divine lightning. These dragon claws were indeed strong enough. Blocking the 10th water divine lightning only made his dragon claws slightly dimmer. Before he could catch his breath, 10th water divine lightning appeared again. The dragon species didn't use its dragon claws to block anymore. Instead, its body emitted dozens of silver lights. The power of the 10th water divine lightning was comparable to his silver lights. The 10th water divine lightning were all broken. There were still many silver lights that didn't hit the 10th water divine lightning and shattered a large number of reefs around. Wang Daoyuan didn't mind fighting with him and continued to attack with the 10th water divine lightning. Although the dragon species was a demon beast, it wasn't stupid. It could see that Wang Daoyuan wasn't using its own power. If it continued, it would definitely lose. It put away its 2 huge dragon claws and its body turned into a true dragon that was hundreds of feet long. This was going all out. Wang Daoyuan was also prepared. The Xianxia cauldron was already in front of him. The 5 natal magic tools also turned into Yinglong's demon-slaying sword. When the true dragon formed by the dragon species came in front of him, Wang Daoyuan swung the sword down. After a silent confrontation, the seabed rock layers cracked. Within a radius of more than 10 miles, the rock cracks were like a dry riverbed. The true dragon formed by the dragon species dissipated instantly. The dragon species was knocked back hundreds of feet by this sword. Yinglong's demon-slaying sword disintegrated and turned back into 5 natal magic tools. Wang Daoyuan put away the magic tools and panted heavily. The dragon species glanced at him and snorted, 6th level magic tool and not an ordinary 6th level magic tool. The material seems to be 7th level. If I can't take you down this time, I'm leaving. Then it turned into a silver light and swam into the darkness. Wang Daoyuan also breathed a sigh of relief. This guy was not only a dragon species, but he was really not weak. It was already not easy to defeat him. If he continued to fight, the chances of killing him were not high and he would also be seriously injured. It was not a joke to be seriously injured in the deep sea. Wang Daoyuan did not chase after him anymore. It was better to leave the sunset abyss as soon as possible and find a safe place to break through to the soul formation stage. At this moment, Zhou Xian was wearing a suit of armor and carrying a heavy sword as she walked over. "Where's the dragon species? The fight was so loud. I was worried that you were not his match. These are all magic tools left behind by the ancestors of Blood Shadow. I've already cultivated them to the mid-grade of the 5th level. They can also help you deal with the 6th level demonic beast. Don't you know what I'm capable of? A 6th level low-grade dragon species can't kill me." After a few moves with him, he felt that he couldn't take me down. He was afraid that I would exhaust him to death, so he ran away. Chapter 1000. Seeing that Wang Daoyuan had only used up too much spiritual power and didn't suffer any substantial injuries, Zhou Xian breathed a sigh of relief. The higher the cultivation, the greater the gap between each rank and the more difficult it is for the weak to fight against the strong. A 6th rank demonic beast strength is comparable to a semi-god realm cultivator. With Yuanying's cultivation, even if there's only a slight difference in cultivation, it's as difficult as ascending to heaven. In the tens of thousands of years of Blood Shadow's records, there are very few peak-level Yuanying cultivators who can escape unscathed from an early-stage semi-god realm cultivator. Those people were all outstanding at their time, but you actually forced a 6th rank dragon to retreat. Your husband is not an ordinary person. I've used up too much spiritual power and I need to recover. Zhou Xian didn't disturb him anymore. She just put away the heavy sword that was difficult to carry. Wang Daoyuan didn't spend too much effort here. He only used half a cup of tea's time to completely recover his spiritual power. He turned his body into a true dragon. That dragon knows how powerful I am, so it won't come looking for trouble alone. Dragons have a sense of pride, so it won't gather other demonic beasts to besiege me. There shouldn't be any 6th rank demonic beasts nearby, so I'll directly transform into a true dragon. You ride on my back and we'll directly rush out from above. Let's see which 5th rank demonic beast is tired of living and dares to cause trouble for me." Zhou Xian nodded, grabbed his 2 dragon horns and rode on Wang Daoyuan's neck again. "Why are you riding on my neck again? The armor on your body is making me uncomfortable. Hurry up, don't worry about these trivial matters." Wang Daoyuan was also helpless. Now was not the time to care about these trivial matters. He raised his head and let out a high-pitched dragon roar, then swam straight up. He didn't restrain his dragon aura at all. Sensing this shocking aura, most demonic beasts didn't dare to go forward to die. Some dragon species were very tempted, but their intelligence was much higher than that of ordinary demonic beasts. Knowing that if they attacked they couldn't even protect their lives, so no one dared to stop them. Even the deep sea wasn't very deep. Wang Daoyuan had no qualms about rushing out of the dense horde of beasts, and it only took him a few breaths of time. He summoned the Xianxia cauldron and released the Moon Sungqion. Senior, when we're out of the deep sea. Moon Sungqion looked at the sky above and the sea below and said with emotion, after more than 300 years, I finally see the light of day again. Little friend, you've saved my daughter's life several times, and now you've let me see the light of day again. Whatever you want, just tell me and I'll give it to you. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, let's return to Lone Star Island first. We can talk about other matters later. By the way, Senior, please restrain your aura and cover your face. Right now, Blood Shark and the Seven Stars Alliance are at war. If you reveal your identity, it may cause a lot of trouble. I haven't seen my daughter for more than 300 years. It's time to go see her. I'll go see the Ice Immortal first. We'll talk about the rest later. After saying that, he suppressed his aura to mid-stage Yuanying and covered his face with a cloth. Wang Daoyuan summoned the flying boat, and the three of them boarded the flying boat and headed to Lone Star Island. When they arrived at Lone Star Island, Moon Sungqion asked, where is my daughter? The last time my Dao companion and I saw them was when we returned from searching for purine spiritual items. As I saved them, they came to thank me. At that time, I advised them to prioritize their cultivation and not to enter the sea so easily. After that, I never saw them again. Moon Sungqion released his divine sense and scanned the entire Lone Star Island. The island wasn't very big and a golden core cultivator's divine sense could cover it completely. However, each cave abode and shop had a method to prevent detection, and ordinary people didn't have the ability to detect anything useful. Of course, the formation set up by ordinary cultivators couldn't block the detection of soul formation cultivators. After a few breaths, Moon Sungqion excitedly pointed at a small mountain near the market. My daughter and Wenzhong are over there. I'm very familiar with their divine sense fluctuations. You two have saved my daughter many times, please come with me. I'll thank you after I ask about the Wen family's situation. Wang Daoyuan naturally didn't have any objections. In the future, the Wang family would come to the Sea of Seven Stars to develop, and it was inevitable that they would have to deal with the local tyrants. The Seven Stars Alliance and the Blood Shark were at war. The two families had fought for hundreds of years in the past, and there were several wars that lasted for 500 or 600 years. It was impossible to build a good relationship with them. Moon Sungqion had been missing for more than 300 years, but his subordinates were still willing to spend energy to heal Wenzhong's injuries. It was obvious that he was very popular. As long as he gathered his old subordinates and with his soul formation cultivation, it wouldn't be a problem for him to regain the position of the Wen family head. Building a good relationship with the Wen family would make it easier to establish a foundation here in the future. My wife and I don't have anything else to do, so we'll accompany you. The three of them soon arrived at the small mountain where the Black Ice Fairy's cave residence was located. There were two cave residences, one big and one small. There was also a flat ground in front of the cave residence, which looked like a courtyard. Wenzhong was cleaning the courtyard when he saw Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan. He cupped his hands and said, Dao, you are here. May I know who this Dao Yu is? Moon Sungqion chuckled. Wenzhong, you don't even recognize me? Hearing his voice, Wenzhong was immediately stunned. He stared at Moon Sungqion with his eyes wide open. After a dozen breaths, he finally reacted. He looked around and asked in a low voice, Are you the old master? Moon Sungqion nodded. Don't tell anyone. Wenzhong said with a smile, Distinguished guests, please follow me inside for a chat. Wang Daoyuan said softly, Father and daughter have recognized each other, so they must have a lot to talk about. It's not appropriate for us to go in. Let's wait in the courtyard. Moon Sungqion followed Wenzhong into Wen Bingxian's cave residence. Wenzhong immediately closed the cave residence and opened all the restrictions. He shouted into the cave residence, Miss, come out and see who's here. Wen Bingxian quickly came out of the bedroom. After seeing Moon Sungcheon, she was stunned for a long time. Tears welled up in her eyes and she asked in disbelief, "Father, is that you?" Even though Moon Sungcheon was a divinity transformation realm cultivator, he couldn't help but cry. "Daughter, you've suffered for more than 300 years. When Bingxian threw herself into his arms. "Father, I finally see you." Half an hour later, when Zhong walked out of the cave residence. "Old Master invites the two of you inside for a chat." Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Luan entered the cave residence. Moon Sungcheon bowed to them. "Thank you, little friend, for saving my daughter's life several times. If it weren't for little friend, my daughter would have died a long time ago, and I wouldn't have the chance to make up for it in this life. Little friend, please accept a bow from me and my daughter." After saying that, the father and daughter bowed again. "Senior Wen, you don't have to do this. I've already received payment for saving Miss Wen. We're even now and we don't owe each other anything. Previously, when Bing Xian and Wen Zhong were in trouble, you didn't want to get too involved with them. It's normal. To be able to help them when they're in trouble, even if you only received payment, it's still a great favor. I don't have anything on me now and I don't have anything to repay little friend. However, I'm already a soul formation cultivator. Since I've come out, I must gather my former subordinates and take back the position of the Wen clan's patriarch. Little friend, just tell me what you want. After I succeed, I'll try my best to satisfy you." Wang Daoyuan was waiting for this sentence. "After I break through to the soul formation realm, I plan to find a place to build my clan." However, the Seven Stars Alliance and Blood Shark are fighting right now, and there's no place in the Sea of Seven Stars. The spirit chi in the Myriad Demon Islands is too violent, and it's not suitable for mortals and low-level cultivators to live in. I want to find an island suitable for mortals to live in at the edge of the Endless Ice Sea, and move some of my clansmen there. This is a small matter. The Endless Ice Sea is a cold place with many demon beasts. Although there are many volcanic islands, there are very few humans. Only the Profound Ice Island and some of the surrounding islands are protected by my Wen clan, and there are some mortals and low-level cultivators living there. Since little friend wants an island, it's very simple. After I take back the position of the Wen clan's patriarch, you can choose any of the ownerless islands in the Endless Ice Sea. However, I don't have enough manpower right now, and it's very difficult to take back the position of the patriarch. If little friend is willing to help, I can give you a few more islands. Chapter 1001. On this side of the Endless Ice Sea, the most suitable place to live was a large volcanic island. Such an island could borrow the heat of the volcano and be maintained by a formation. It would be easy to create a large area suitable for ordinary people to live in. It would be good to have a few more islands as a place to set up a family. However, it was definitely not wise to get involved in the Wen family's business. Senior Wen, this is just a family matter of the Wen family. If an outsider like me gets involved, you will be put in a passive position and even be rejected by the neutral Wen family members. By then, you might be labeled as someone who invited a wolf into the house. Moon Sungcheon sighed. How could I not know this? It's just that we have too few people. My soul tablet has never been broken. The Grand Elder and the other elders are in charge of the family affairs. There is no need to change the family head. Since someone could usurp the throne and kill the elders who supported me, he must have the support of a Grand Elder in the soul formation realm. I forced myself to break through to the soul formation realm when I was seriously injured. If I don't have any treasures, it will be difficult for me to make any progress in my cultivation. In terms of strength, I am only average among the early-stage soul formation realm cultivators. If there is really a soul formation Grand Elder supporting the usurpation, it is impossible for me to take back the family head position with my own strength. Little friend is very powerful. In terms of strength, he is already above me. With your help, even if there is a Grand Elder supporting the usurpation, we can still defeat him together. Getting involved in the Wen family's business is not a legitimate thing. I will not fight against the Wen family directly, but I can cure your injuries. Moon Sungcheon was stunned when he heard this. He had no hope for his cultivation path. Now his injuries could be cured. He was only 1,000 years old. Compared to the 5,000 years of life of a soul formation realm cultivator, he was still in the prime of his life. How could he accept that he would not be able to make any progress in his cultivation for the next 3,000 years? Little friend, do you really have a way to cure my injuries? Wang Daoyuan drew out a wisp of spiritual fire of life. This is a type of spiritual fire that I have refined. It is useful for most injuries. However, my cultivation is not enough now. After I break through to the soul formation realm, this spiritual fire can also advance to the 6th grade. By then it shouldn't be a problem to treat Elder Zhang's injuries. Senior, you are extremely talented. You may reach the late stage of the divinity transformation realm in the future and become one of the most powerful overlords in the entire Xianxia Zhou Xian community. Even if you have the support of a semi-divinity realm warrior, you still have to consider Senior's talent. Moon Sungcheon sensed the vigorous life force within the fire of life and nodded. This fire of life does have a strong healing effect. If it can be raised to the type 6 stage, there's still hope for it to help me recover. His little friend had been in the Sea of 7 Stars for many years, so he must have a lot of old friends. If anyone is willing to help, feel free to find them. I won't mistreat them. I wonder if little friend has a place to transcend the tribulation? If you don't, I can provide a few. I haven't traveled much in the past few years, and I don't have any life or death friendships. I naturally have a place to transcend the tribulation, but after I transcend the tribulation, where am I supposed to find you? Moon Sungcheon suspected that he was a disciple of a hidden force. Hidden forces were very common in the cultivation world. They were either hiding from their enemies or from a great disaster. They concealed their identities and hid in some secret realms. After their enemies declined or the disaster passed, the hidden forces would want to come to the surface. They would send out some outstanding disciples to establish a small force outside and see how things were going in the outside world. If the conditions were right, a large number of people from the hidden forces would be placed in this small force, allowing it to develop and grow. In the end, the entire force would come to the surface. Wang Daoyuan's strength and actions were very similar to the outstanding disciples sent out by the hidden forces before they came to the surface. Asking Wang Daoyuan to find helpers was hoping that the force behind him would help. That's a pity. How about this? I'll let Wenzhong continue to wait here. After you break through to the semi-divinity realm, you can come here to find him. Moon Sungcheon also had a trick up his sleeve. In this way, Wang Daoyuan didn't know how many people were still loyal to him. It's good. My Dao partner and I will find a place to break through first. Then we will come to find Senior. After saying that, he left the cave abode with Zhou Xian and took a flying boat to the southwest. After the two of them left, Moon Sungcheon asked, Wenzhong, tell me about this Zhou Ming. This person's behavior is like that of a disciple of a big force. His Dao partner obviously has the bloodline of a divine beast and it's very pure. Her appearance is comparable to that of the ice fairy, and her behavior is decent. Her temperament is not inferior to Zhou Ming's. Such a person can't be an itinerant cultivator. It's very likely that a hidden force wants to come out and send out a disciple to investigate the situation. Wang Daoyuan naturally wasn't in the mood to care about the matters here. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Xian took a flying boat to the southwest. After flying for more than 1,000,000 miles, they arrived at an uninhabited sea area without any islands. They boarded Lei Peng's flying boat and continued to head northeast. The Soul Formation Heavenly Tribulation was different from the Golden Core Heavenly Tribulation and the Yuanying Heavenly Tribulation. It wouldn't directly strike people with lightning. It was mainly a test of inner demons, but it would definitely cause a big commotion, especially the surrounding space. The secret realm where they found Moon Sungcheon was very suitable for the Heavenly Tribulation, but unfortunately, the space around it was unstable. His Soul Formation Heavenly Tribulation was definitely not ordinary. It would be troublesome if it affected the space. The two of them boarded Lei Peng's flying boat and arrived at a place more than 3,000,000 miles west of Lone Star Island. There was an island with a radius of more than 200 miles, and there was an inferior grade rank 5 spirit vein on the island. Because it was too far away from the Sea of 7 Stars and demon beasts were rampant. There was also an active volcano on the island, and lava was constantly flowing out of the crater. The environment was too harsh and there were no traces of cultivators nearby. The main purpose of breaking through to the Soul Formation realm was to increase the intensity of Yuanying and improve the control of laws. To increase the intensity of Yuanying, one had to rely on 6th level pure Yin and pure Yang spiritual items, which didn't have any requirements on spiritual energy. As long as one had a 6th level Yin and Yang spiritual item, the concentration of spiritual energy was not a concern. After arriving at the island, Wang Daoyuan put away the flying boat and took out Mo Shuequan and the Xianxia cauldron from the spiritual pearl. There are many demon beasts here. Although there are no 6th-level demon beasts, a lot of 5th-level demon beasts will be troublesome. Mo and Shuequan are both demons, and they are restrained by the bloodline of divine beasts. If they encounter a 5th-level half-divine beast, they won't be able to defeat it. By then you and the Xianxia cauldron will have to deal with the demon beast. Zhou Xian took out an interspatial ring. Don't worry. I brought a lot of life-saving measures. As long as the opponent is not at 6th level, I won't be in any danger. The Xianxia cauldron smiled. You don't have to worry about me. I absorbed a lot of spiritual energy in that mystic realm. Now I'm very close to 6th level mid-grade. Killing 5th-level demon beasts will be a piece of cake. Wang Daoyuan nodded and sat cross-legged beside the volcano in the center of the island. He took out the horn of the bone flood dragon and the golden crow feather from the spiritual pearl. He extracted a part of the yin and yang qi from the two and stored them in his spiritual sea. Ordinary yuaning cultivators directly merged the yin and yang qi into their yuaning. This method was more crude and wasted more yin and yang qi, and the effect wasn't good. Wang Daoyuan's yuaning was different. It had 5 internal organs, meridians, and an internal spiritual sea. When Divine Venerable Black Ice helped to deduce the cultivation method, she also deduced the method to temper the yuaning. After the yin and yang qi in the spiritual sea merged into the yuaning, the yin qi gathered in the yuaning's kidneys, and the yang qi gathered in the yuaning's heart. Then he started to circulate the cultivation method, allowing the yin and yang qi to circulate in the yuaning. The yuaning's heart was formed by the red yang primordial fire, and the kidneys were formed by the gui water death flame. The 6th-level yang qi guided the yang qi in the heart to circulate in the 5 internal organs, increasing the intensity of the yuaning. The 6th-level yin qi guided the yin qi in the kidneys to the internal spiritual sea to nourish the soul. Under the tempering of the 6th-level yin qi and yang qi, Wang Daoyuan's essence, energy, and spirit quickly broke through the limits of the yuaning cultivator and continued to strengthen. Chapter 1002. With the tempering of the 6th-grade yin and yang qi, his body's ability to carry essence, energy, and spirit increased. As his essence, energy, and spirit increased, the yin and yang qi in his yuaning decreased. After the two were used up, Wang Daoyuan extracted more yin and yang qi from the horn and the golden crow's feathers. After fusing with the yuaning, it continued to circulate in his meridians. The extent of tempering his yuaning was uncertain. It was up to the will of the heavens. When a cultivator opened the Purple Palace and started to come into contact with the laws, they would be noticed by the heavenly Tao. When one broke through to the soul formation stage, they would definitely be noticed by the heavenly Tao. When the essence, energy, and spirit exceeded the limit allowed by the heavenly Tao, a heavenly tribulation would descend. The cultivator at the peak of the yuaning stage would use the heavenly tribulation to break through to the soul formation stage. This limit was not fixed. Everyone's talent was different, so this limit was different. The amount of 6th-grade yin and yang qi consumed during the tempering process was naturally different. When the heavenly tribulation descended, the stronger the yuaning, the more benefits one would receive. After breaking through to the soul formation stage, one's strength would also increase. As long as there was enough 6th-grade yin and yang qi prepared, the heavenly tribulation would descend later. After Wang Daoyuan stayed on this island for a year, a black cloud finally appeared in the sky. The spirit power in the cloud was extremely violent, and there were also extremely strong fluctuations of the power of laws. As soon as the black cloud appeared, it began to absorb a large amount of spirit power and continued to grow. Tempering his yuaning for a year to attract a heavenly tribulation cloud was very fast. Most cultivators would need a few years to temper their yuaning, and a few would need more than 10 years. At this time, his yuaning strength had already surpassed most early-stage soul formation cultivators. When Wang Daoyuan circulated his cultivation technique, he only used the 6th-grade yin and yang qi as a primer. The pure yin and yang qi in the scarlet yang primordial fire and the gui water death flames merged into the primer to temper his yuaning. These 5th-grade yin and yang qi were derived from the yuaning. Together with the primer, the tempering effect was extremely good. Therefore he did not use much 6th-grade yin and yang qi. It was about twice as much as an ordinary cultivator. However, the result of the refinement was something that ordinary cultivators could not achieve even if they spent tens of times the amount of 6th grade yin and yang energy. The tribulation clouds had already unfolded, so Wang Daoyuan did not continue tempering. He put away the unmelted bone and the golden crow velvet feather, and adjusted his body condition to prepare for the upcoming heavenly tribulation. In this 1 year, Wang Daoyuan could not restrain his aura, which attracted many demonic beasts. However, with Zhou Xian, the Xianxia cauldron, and the 2 doppelgangers around, the demonic beasts that came over were nothing more than throwing their lives away. The tribulation clouds in the sky rapidly expanded. Half a day later, the black tribulation clouds covered the sky within a radius of 5,000 miles. Looking at the tribulation cloud, Wang Daoyuan's heart was beating like a drum. Previously, in order to increase his understanding of the soul formation stage, he had read many books about breaking through to the soul formation stage. Generally speaking, when a cultivator broke through to the soul formation stage, the tribulation cloud would only cover a radius of around 1,000 miles. Even for those cultivators with heaven spirit roots, the tribulation cloud would not exceed a radius of 3,000 miles. Just how terrifying was the power contained within these 5,000 miles of tribulation clouds? The tribulation clouds stopped expanding and began to surge violently. This was a sign that the heavenly tribulation was about to fall. Wang Daoyuan did not dare to let his imagination run wild. He focused his mind and prepared to deal with the heavenly tribulation. There was only one heavenly tribulation of the soul formation stage, which was the inner demon tribulation. It would not harm the body at all, only the mind. If one could not pass this tribulation, their essence, energy, and spirit would slowly be exhausted in the inner demon tribulation. In the end, they would die and enter the cycle of reincarnation. After passing the inner demon tribulation, one would be able to comprehend the Tao in the tribulation, and their control of the laws would be improved greatly. This inner demon tribulation was not as simple as the Purple Mansion inner demon tribulation. It could be suppressed with Dharma artifacts. The inner demon tribulation of the soul formation stage could not be suppressed. The environment of the inner demon was ever-changing. Even those mighty figures still had lingering fears when mentioning the inner demon tribulation. Soon, a huge whirlpool formed in the center of the tribulation clouds. A large amount of spiritual power entered this whirlpool. The whirlpool absorbed a large amount of spiritual power and gradually expanded. Finally, it enveloped the entire tribulation clouds. Then a ball fell from the center of the whirlpool. This ball was the size of a millstone and was completely black. The energy contained within was enough to make one tremble in fear. If not for the fact that the energy was extremely stable, Wang Daoyuan estimated that the energy could directly turn the island under his feet into nothingness. Under the guidance of this ball, Wang Daoyuan's yuanying lost control and automatically left his sea of consciousness. It floated 30 feet above his head. At this time, his yuanying was already more than 3 feet tall and emitted a dazzling purple-gold light. The ball fell and enveloped his entire yuanying. Wang Daoyuan instantly lost consciousness and fell asleep. When he regained consciousness, he felt a splitting headache. He struggled to open his eyes and found himself in a bright room. This room looked very familiar. The walls were painted with white dust. 2 energy-saving light tubes were hanging on the roof and there was a small fan. He was lying on a metal bed. There were 3 metal beds in the room and each bed was divided into bunk beds. He looked at his floating table and the books on it and felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity. His head was groggy and he seemed to have forgotten a lot of things. Just as he was in a daze, he heard someone shout from below, "Fourth brother, you idiot. Why didn't you go big when you were in a group? Second brother, you still have the nerve to talk about me. Can't you see that I'm not here? Why are you guys in a group? Everyone is dead. Why should I go big?" These 2 voices gave Wang Daoyuan a feeling of familiarity and strangeness. Just as he was trying to recall who it was, a rough voice sounded. A rough voice rang out, "Third brother, you've finally woken up. You scared us to death. You should have said that you can't drink. It's the first time we went out to drink. No one knew how much you can drink. You got drunk for a day and a night with just a few bottles of beer. If not for your stable condition and the fact that you know how to drink water, we would have sent you to the hospital. I bought some milk for you. Drink it when you wake up." Third brother is awake? Third brother, you're finally awake. I can't carry second brother alone. I can't keep up with him. He's already lost 20 times. Hurry up and get up. Let's carry second brother together. Wang Daoyuan struggled to get up from the bed. His body felt weak. He felt like he was in a dream. The dream was very strange, but he couldn't remember what happened. He looked at the people in the room and felt a sense of familiarity. A strong man stood in front of the bed with a bottle of milk in his hand. Looking at his confused face, he asked, "Third brother? Wang Daoyuan. Is your brain okay? I'm the eldest, Xiaodun." Hearing this name, a lot of memories appeared in his mind. Xiaodun was his university roommate. He was the eldest and took care of the others like a big brother. The second brother, Wu Ming, and the fourth brother, Li Wenjiao, loved to play games. He often played with them. 5 people lived in the 6-person dorm. The fifth brother, Zhang Lini, was focused on getting into postgraduate studies. He spent most of his time in the library or the classroom. Wang Daoyuan took the milk from his boss and drank it all in one gulp. The feeling of his stomach churning felt slightly better. Why am I here? Aren't I in the Sea of 7 Stars? You still haven't forgotten about the dream? You've been talking in your sleep for a day and night. Something about the Sea of 7 Stars, Beiyuan. These 2 names are familiar, but I can't remember what happened. It's been a long time and it's all about weird stuff. I don't know what you dreamed about. You even talked about cultivation. The final exam is in 2 weeks. You should adjust quickly. Don't fail your first final exam. I remember that I've been working for a few years after graduation. I even went to a place. I can't remember it. Forget about the things in your dream, right? We haven't even played in the first semester of our first year. What are you talking about? I think you should go to the library with fifth brother. Or second brother and fourth brother can play a few games. Don't let the dream affect your study life. Yeah, third brother. Don't worry about the dream. Hurry up and get online. Wanna win? I can't carry second brother by myself. Chapter 1003. Wang Daoyuan lay on the bed for a long time trying to sort out his messy thoughts. After a long time he finally calmed down. He tried to recall anything about Beiyuan and the Sea of 7 Stars, but he couldn't remember anything. His memories were getting blurry just like a dream. He would forget everything as soon as he woke up. Since he couldn't remember anything, he decided not to think about it. He grabbed some snacks from Big Brother, Second Brother, and Fourth Brother's table. Big Brother had already gone to the library to revise, but Second Brother and Fourth Brother were still playing games. He sat on a stool eating while watching Second Brother and Fourth Brother play games. He even gave them some pointers. Second Brother, 3 people are going to surround you. It'll be too late if you don't leave now. When I finish this wave of soldiers, 3 people might not be able to catch me. Before he finished speaking, the screen turned black and white. Second Brother, you're really bad. Third Brother already told you to leave, but you still don't want to leave. Once we invest, Third Brother should hurry up and get online. Only by working together can we have a chance to help Second Brother, this scammer. In the following days, Wang Daoyuan was like an ordinary college student. After playing games for a few days, he began to revise for the final exam. After the exam, he went home with his luggage like everyone else. Wang Daoyuan had been wandering with his master. Wherever his master was, that was where his home was. After he started school, his master built a thatched cottage on a mountain not far from the school. Wang Daoyuan came to the thatched cottage and smelled a fragrance. He habitually shouted, "Master, what delicious food did you make? 2 days ago someone came to me for a fortune-telling and gave me some money. I thought it was about time you came back, so I went to buy some food." After saying that, a white-haired old man came out of a small thatched cottage on the east side of the thatched cottage. This was also their kitchen. The old man's name was Wang Yan. He was Wang Daoyuan's master. "Master, didn't you say that you quit this job?" "I don't want to, but what about the money for your school fees? You can't earn much by working part-time. Besides, it's not like I'm doing anything dangerous. When people come to beg me, I can point them in the right direction and earn some money." When Wang Daoyuan was just beginning to remember, his master helped people with fortune-telling and exorcising evil spirits. The poor people basically didn't need to pay for it and only needed a simple meal. Only when they met a rich family would they be ruthless. When they met with difficulties, they would give them some money. They didn't have much savings. "Alright, don't just stand there. Go inside and warm up. The food will be ready soon." This thatched hut had holes in every direction. If it was an ordinary person, they wouldn't be able to withstand such an environment. His master was a cultivator. And Wang Daoyuan had been practicing martial arts since he was a child, so he was more resistant to the cold. It didn't take much effort to come back from school. "Let me help you." After saying that, he also entered the kitchen. After a while, he carried the dishes back to the thatched hut. After the master and disciple finished their meal, Wang Daoyuan asked, "Master, I drank with my roommate half a month ago and got drunk for a day and a night. During this day and night I had a very real dream. In the dream I seemed to have arrived in a world where I could cultivate and I made great achievements there. But after I woke up these things were quickly forgotten as if they never existed." Forget it, forget it. Even if you don't forget, what can you do? If you aren't interested in cultivating, it's useless to remember anything. If you are interested in cultivating, I have a cultivation technique in my hands. In today's world, spiritual energy is almost exhausted. Most of the spirit veins are completely destroyed, and the few that aren't destroyed have fallen into a deep sleep. Some of the spiritual energy is also derived from the essence of the sun and the moon. There are few people in the deep mountains and forests, so there are still some left. Even if you cultivate, at most you can only strengthen your body. It's very difficult for you to achieve anything. After saying that, a flame appeared in his hand. "I've been cultivating for more than 100 years. Until now, I can only use the most basic spells to help people exorcise evil spirits. The actual effect isn't as great as showing off. After using it once, I have to spend a few days to recover. I wanted to teach you when you were young, but you were always unwilling to cultivate. No matter how much I coaxed you, it was useless. I've always felt that the things in the dream weren't fake. Perhaps I really do have the talent for cultivation. Not to mention anything else, at least I can live for a few more years. The average person can only live for 70 or 80 years and they're all sick. You've lived for more than 100 years, but you're still hale and hearty, running as if you're flying. Just based on this, I'm willing to cultivate." Wang Yan smiled. "It's fine as long as you're willing. My cultivation books are all in the chest. You can start cultivating from the meridian opening technique. That's the most basic cultivation technique for cultivators. The place we live is at the edge of the mountains and there isn't much spiritual energy. It's very difficult to achieve anything if you cultivate here. You're young and strong, so you should run more into the mountains. Every morning before sunrise, go to the top of the mountain to absorb the purple energy. Normally you have to do more breathing in the mountains. After your meridians are opened, you can take another step forward. You're already over 20 years old, so you've missed the best opportunity. In addition, spiritual energy is exhausted. Even if you cultivate diligently, it'll be very difficult for you to achieve anything. You still have to prioritize your studies. In terms of cultivation, it's fine as long as you can strengthen your body." Wang Daoyuan took out the meridian opening technique from the chest in the room. "I'm going to cultivate now. You've also practiced martial arts for more than 10 years. You don't need me to teach you the foundation of your meridians. If there's anything you don't understand, don't force yourself. Just come back and ask me." After leaving the straw hut, Wang Daoyuan ran deep into the mountains. He found a mountain peak and began cultivating. Wang Daoyuan didn't expect his talent to be so good. It was as if he had divine help when cultivating. In just half a day he was able to sense qi. After that, he persisted in cultivating. 10 years later, his cultivation had already reached the 4th level of qi refinement, surpassing his master. After Wang Daoyuan graduated, he worked hard in the city. However, his master still insisted on living in the mountains. Suddenly one day his master called and asked him to go back. Wang Daoyuan hurriedly rushed back to the mountain and came to the straw hut. His master was already wearing a gorgeous Taoist robe and a lotus crown on his head. Seeing him return, his master smiled and said, "It's not easy for you to surpass me in cultivation at such a young age. To be able to train you, the inheritance of our lineage didn't end in my hands. I can die in peace. I don't expect you to be able to carry forward the inheritance. If you can pass it on, then continue to pass it on. If you can't, then there's nothing I can do. I've lived for 118 years and I've also died of old age. I have no regrets in this life. You don't have to be sad. In order to take care of me all these years, you didn't get married. In the future, when you get married and have children, you can talk about your life in front of my grave. I can also smile in the underworld." As soon as he finished speaking, his master closed his eyes. His expression didn't change at all. He still had a smile on his face. Wang Daoyuan buried him on the mountain and placed 3 incense sticks in front of his grave. Master, ever since I started cultivating, the things in my dreams have become clearer. Not long ago I confirmed that I was in the illusion of my soul formation mental demon. In my previous life I wasn't able to receive the inheritance when you were alive, so you died with unwillingness. This is also my life's regret. Accompanying you for 10 years can be considered as making up for this regret. I still have a big family in the Qianyuan realm. I can't continue to accompany you. With that, he returned to the thatched hut and took out the spiritual bead. He dripped his blood on it and used his divine consciousness to check it again. A bolt of lightning as thick as a bucket fell from the sky and turned him into ashes. His whole body fell into darkness. At this moment, all his memories after reincarnation came back. I didn't expect that a small regret in my previous life would become a place for the mental demon tribulation. Unfortunately, I've already let go of what happened in my previous life. You're thinking too much if you want to trap me with these things. Before he finished speaking, the scene in front of him changed and his previous memories quickly disappeared. Wang Daoyuan was wearing the white dragon and fish robe of the Wang family. He checked his cultivation and found that he was at the 7th level of qi refinement. Beside him were 5th uncle, 12th uncle Wang Shouming, 12th uncle Wang Daoxing, 2nd brother Wang Daoxing, and 6 other uncles. In front of him was a city. Above the city gate there were 3 big words, Golden Goose City. At the city gate, there were cultivators of the Netherworld sect registering the cultivators entering the city. There were 2 teams in front of the city gate. They were the cultivators of the family and the rogue cultivators. Chapter 1004. Wang Daoyuan was stunned, feeling that the scene in front of him was very familiar. It seemed to have happened somewhere before, but he couldn't remember it at all. Not long after, a huge golden eagle descended from the sky, and dozens of cultivators in golden robes dismounted from the back of the golden eagle. This group of people was from the Jin family, and the Jin family's ancestor had a very high status in the Netherworld sect. They wanted to enter the city first, and someone from the Li family who was in front of the Wang family scolded them. The 2 families had a conflict, and the 5th granduncle spoke out to dissuade them, so the Jin family's patriarch confronted the Wang and Li families. After that, the Netherworld sect's elder guarding the Golden Goose City came out to help, and everyone entered the city one after another. A few days later, 3 Netherworld sect elders led thousands of cultivators to the Carriage Gorge in the Guiyuan Valley to ambush the demonic beasts. The Netherworld sect sent out cultivators disguised as caravans to lure the demonic beasts. After these demonic beasts were fooled, they began to break out of the encirclement to the east of the Guiyuan Valley, and the Wang family's in-laws, the Yang family, desperately defended. The Netherworld sect's people lying in ambush in other places swarmed up and killed all the demonic beasts. After that, the extermination of the demonic beasts was successful, and the 11 people of the Wang family returned to the Jade Spring Peak unharmed. However, at this time, another memory of the Battle of the Carriage Gorge appeared in Wang Daoyuan's mind. In this battle, the Netherworld sect used the demonic beasts to exhaust the old family. After dealing with the demonic beasts nearby, they were ambushed by their old rivals, the Wanling sect and the Setting Sun Palace, and suffered heavy losses. The Wang family broke out in different directions, and in the end only 4 of the 11 people survived. The 6 granduncles and the 12th uncle Wang Shouming died in battle, and the 12th uncle was seriously injured and hid in an underground rock crevice, and he was found by him. This memory was very real and it came very strangely. He had never thought in this direction, but he suddenly had this memory. Wang Daoyuan's mind was a bit confused and he didn't know which one was real. He simply stopped thinking about it and cultivated in peace. He didn't expect that his cultivation speed was so terrifying as a penta-spiritual root, and he reached the peak of the qi refining stage in just a few years. Then he went to look for the inheritance of the 5 elements spiritual master, and even found several foundation establishment pills. He changed his cultivation method and succeeded in building his foundation with the help of the foundation establishment pills. At the moment he was only 25 years old and had become the youngest foundation establishment cultivator in the state of Zhao. With the help of the remaining foundation building pills, the 12th uncle also succeeded in building his foundation. The Wang clan went from a precarious situation to a clan with 4 foundation establishment cultivators. Not long after, Wang Jiza, the old master of the Wang family, reached the peak of foundation establishment. Because he didn't have the purple cloudwood core or the yin-yang purple jade, he could only choose to break through by force. Who would have thought that they would actually succeed in establishing a Zifu palace, and the Wang clan would become a Zifu palace clan? All of a sudden, the Wang clan became extremely popular in the Netherworld sect's territory. There were many clans that had tried to get close to Wang Daoyuan, and many elders of the Netherworld sect wanted to take Wang Daoyuan as their disciple. At the same time, the inexplicable memory in Wang Daoyuan's mind began to have new content. In this memory, he didn't reach foundation establishment until he was in his 40s. His grandfather, Wang Jiza, was also stuck at the 9th level of the foundation establishment realm due to an internal injury in his early years. He was unable to advance any further and finally passed away in meditation when he was over 230 years old. Even though he and his 5th great-uncle had opened up their violet mansions, they were still being suppressed by the Netherworld sect. Their future was bleak. This time Wang Daoyuan was even more confused. Which one was the real one? One was that he had become a cultivation genius, and the elders of the Netherworld sect were fighting to take him as their disciple. The other was that the clan's future was somewhat bleak due to the suppression of the Netherworld sect. Wang Daoyuan didn't know what to do. He could only go into seclusion and think about it carefully. Time passed day by day and the memories in his mind were also increasing. The development of the Wang clan outside was also changing with each passing day. After sitting in seclusion for decades, the 12th uncle had already broken through to the Golden Core realm. The inexplicable memory in his mind said that the clan was severely suppressed by the Netherworld sect. They could only shrink their businesses and didn't dare to expand at will. At this time Wang Daoyuan was no longer confused. The things that happened outside were too smooth and too unreasonable. It was normal for them to be suppressed. He was more and more certain that the memories in his mind were the real ones. After another decade or so, the scene in front of him completely collapsed and the surroundings became pitch black. He recovered all his memories. In the Battle of the Carriage Gorge, the 12th uncle died in battle. It was a great loss to the clan. Later, grandfather Wang Jiza passed away. 8th uncle and 9th aunt also failed to open up the Purple Mansion and died on the eve of the clan's rise. For Wang Daoyuan it was a pity. After that he entered a new illusion. In some illusions he obtained a large number of high-grade spiritual herbs from the herb garden of the 100 Spirits True Lord. There were also illusions where Zhou Xian agreed to let him take in concubines and slept with 3 wives and 4 concubines. These illusions were all created based on the regrets in his heart. Who didn't have regrets? Who didn't want to make up for these regrets? Who wouldn't be tempted by the opportunity to make up for their regrets? When a cultivator went through the inner demon tribulation, the power of their spiritual sense was also constantly consumed. The inner demon tribulation was a test, and there was definitely a chance of survival. The real memories in his mind were this chance of survival. If he could accept reality, he could escape from the inner demon tribulation. If he continued to sink into the illusions and couldn't extricate himself, he would eventually exhaust his spiritual sense and die. After walking out of the illusions, Wang Daoyuan appeared in the endless void. It was completely dark in front of him and there was no light at all. After an unknown amount of time, Wang Daoyuan felt a kind of invisible and untouchable power continuously gathering around him. After an unknown period of time, a wisp of gray energy appeared beside him. Slowly, the gray energy increased and condensed into a gray liquid, which converged into a gray ocean. Then a trace of purple appeared in the gray energy. As time passed, there was more and more purple. Wang Daoyuan couldn't be more familiar with the purplish-gray energy in front of him. There was a lot of purplish-gray energy in the void outside the space of the spirit pearl. Although there was a huge difference in quality, they should be the same thing. When he repaired the spirit pearl, the spirit vein of the heavenly/mountain range also produced the purplish-gray liquid. At that time, the heavenly/mountain range only produced about a bowl of the purplish-gray liquid, which affected the concentration of spirit qi in the entire Beiyuan Zhou Xian. The purplish-gray liquid in front of him formed an ocean. If this was all absorbed by the spirit pearl, the potential of the spirit pearl's space would be extremely terrifying. He wanted to put the purplish-gray liquid into the spirit pearl's space, but he found that he couldn't move and he couldn't release his divine sense or spirit qi. He was just a spectator in this void and couldn't do anything. Waves kept rising in the purplish-gray ocean, and the rumbling of thunder came from the endless void above. Suddenly, a black bolt of lightning struck the purplish-gray ocean. At the place where the lightning struck, a white energy and a black energy appeared. Wang Daoyuan was too familiar with these two types of energy. They were yang qi and yin qi, and both were of extremely high quality. Even the pure yang qi in the golden crow velvet feather couldn't be compared to this white energy. The black and white energies intertwined, forming a Tai Chi diagram. This Tai Chi diagram circled in the purplish-gray ocean, constantly absorbing the purplish-gray liquid to strengthen itself. At the same time, there were black and white energies leaking out of the Tai Chi diagram. The white energy floated up and the black energy sank. These energies kept expanding and finally formed a half-white, half-black spherical shell. New energies began to surge out of the Tai Chi diagram. These energies were divided into a total of 5 types. Wang Daoyuan couldn't be more familiar with these 5 types of energies. They were the 5 elements spirit qi. However, the quality of these 5 elements spirit qi was extremely high and it was extremely rare. He had come into contact with Sword Immortal Gui Yuan and had seen the world. Even Sword Immortal Gui Yuan's immortal power couldn't compare to the 5 elements spirit qi. The 5 elements spirit qi kept surging out of the Tai Chi diagram and fusing into the spherical shell formed by the yin-yang qi. After the 5 elements spirit qi fused, the spherical shell quickly became thick and stable. Under the continuous nourishment of the yin-yang qi and the 5 elements spirit qi, the spherical shell became bigger and bigger, enveloping Wang Daoyuan's entire body. In the spherical shell he sensed extremely powerful 5 elements and yin-yang laws. Chapter 1005. When Yuanying breaks through to Ascended Realm, the first step is to increase the intensity of Yuanying. This is to build a foundation for understanding more profound laws. The Ascended Realm inner demon tribulation is to test the cultivator's will. It's to prepare for understanding more profound laws. Now is the time to do so. Wang Daoyuan focused all his energy to feel the power of the laws around him. Very quickly he found a very familiar law. The law of space. Although he hasn't comprehended the law of space yet, with the space inside the spirit orb he can always feel it. At first the law of space was very weak, but as the black and white shell absorbed more and more spirit energy, the law of space became stronger and stronger. The inside of the shell formed a space similar to a storage bag. After that, the earth-type spirit energy condensed into a piece of land with a mountain range rising up. The water spirit energy condensed into raindrops falling on the ground. Under the nourishment of the raindrops, the wood spirit energy gave birth to plants. The fire spirit energy turned into flames, igniting the plants, leaving behind ashes that merged into the ground. The 5 elements were intertwined, flowing endlessly. The yang energy turned into a red sun, the yin energy turned into a bright moon. The sun and moon rotated, illuminating the land. The law of space inside the shell also became stronger and stronger. At this time the inside of the shell is almost the same as the space inside the spirit orb. After that, the Tai Chi diagram outside the shell completely merged with the shell. The mountain range on the ground shook violently, spirit energy began to flow from it. This is the embryonic form of a spirit vein. The purplish-gray sea outside the shell slowly seeped into the shell. The purplish-gray energy finally converged into the spirit vein. After being converted by the spirit vein, it turned into extremely pure spirit energy. The shell quickly grew bigger. Wang Daoyuan still wanted to continue observing but suddenly felt dizzy, then fainted, completely losing consciousness. On the island where he broke through to Ascended Realm, Wang Daoyuan's Yuanying had automatically returned to his thought sea. He laid down on the ground. The pressure under the tribulation clouds quickly weakened. Zhou Xian was a bit nervous, asking, "What happened to him?" Xianxia answered, "Master is fine." After seeing through the illusion, he used up all his spirit sense to comprehend the laws. Now that he's asleep, the gift of heaven and earth will soon descend. Before she could finish her sentence, a deafening snoring sound came from Wang Daoyuan's side. This time Zhou Xian felt relieved. The tribulation clouds in the sky turned from black to white. 2 hours later they were completely white. Then a vortex appeared in the center of the clouds, and the white clouds quickly shrank under the vortex's devouring. An hour later the white clouds completely disappeared, and a raindrop formed in the center of the vortex. These raindrops looked no different from ordinary raindrops. They didn't even have any spiritual energy fluctuations. In the end, the tribulation clouds within a radius of several thousand kilometers all transformed into this single raindrop. No one would believe that these were ordinary raindrops. The raindrops fell right between Wang Daoyuan's eyebrows and seeped into his sea of consciousness, entering Yuanying's body. Wang Daoyuan's Yuanying automatically activated his cultivation technique to refine the raindrops. As the spiritual energy flowed, an insignificant portion of the raindrops was also separated and merged with the spiritual energy. After one cycle of spiritual power, part of the spiritual power was converted into qi, blood, and divine sense. With the replenishment of divine sense, Wang Daoyuan instantly woke up. After feeling the majestic power inside Yuanying, he continued to activate his cultivation technique. He wanted to control the gift of heaven and earth, but he found that he couldn't shake it at all. The newly produced essence, qi, and spirit contained the power of the gift of heaven and earth. As the cultivation technique was activated, the essence, qi, and spirit flowed throughout his body. Yuanying and physical body began to transform. Yuanying's 5 internal organs were originally formed by spiritual fire. Now that they were nourished by the gift of heaven and earth, they were the first to react. The fire seed absorbed a large amount of the 5 elements' spiritual energy, gradually increasing its own strength. In just 2 hours, the 5 spiritual fires all broke through to the 6th level. However, the gift of heaven and earth didn't suffer any obvious loss until now. It was simply too difficult to exhaust it completely. There was no need to strengthen the soul. When the nascent soul was formed, the soul and spiritual energy began to fuse, forming Yuanying. However, at that time, the 2 sides hadn't completely merged into one. Some special methods could still separate the 2. Yuanying was also very weak. Now it was different. After reaching the semi-god realm, the entire Yuanying was one. It was impossible to find the soul. After absorbing a large amount of gift of heaven and earth, the entire Yuanying, including the soul, had received great benefits. Originally, the entire Yuanying was shining with a purple-gold light. Now the light gradually disappeared and the Yuanying also began to shrink. Half a day later, the purple-gold light completely disappeared and shrank to a height of 1 foot. At this moment, the Yuanying looked no different from an ordinary baby. Its parts were very complete. At this time, it could no longer be called Yuanying. It should be called primordial spirit. It could completely leave the physical body and live, cultivate, and fight alone. However, that would mean that it would walk the path of a ghost immortal. The importance of the physical body could never be replaced. The primordial spirit opened its eyes and looked at the world in front of it. Its 2 big eyes were filled with intelligence. Then it crawled a few steps in the sea of consciousness. This made Wang Daoyuan very excited. Although the Yuanying also had facial features, it was still like a sleeping baby. It wouldn't open its eyes at all. It was the same even if it turned into a primordial spirit. Usually, when a cultivator reached the Mahayana realm, the primordial spirit would be able to move freely. Now that his physical body and primordial spirit had reached a saturated state, they could no longer absorb the gift of heaven and earth. That raindrop had only consumed about a quarter of it. He summoned the 5 natal Dharma artifacts in his dantian into his sea of consciousness. These 5 Dharma artifacts each had a weapon spirit. Previously, because their foundation was too strong, they hadn't been able to give birth to intelligence. Now that he had broken through to the semi-god realm, it should be enough for them to give birth to intelligence. Wang Daoyuan continued to use his cultivation method. The gift of heaven and earth kept fusing into his essence, energy, and spirit. Then he guided his essence, energy, and spirit into the 5 Dharma artifacts. The 5 Dharma artifacts were quite capable. They lasted for an hour before they were completely saturated. Now their brilliance was restrained and they looked ordinary. The weapon spirits had fallen into a deep sleep. It seemed that they were about to advance. After having a weapon spirit, the power of the pattern would turn into the power of laws and completely fuse into the weapon spirit. As long as the weapon spirit and the material of the Dharma artifact reached the level of advancement, the Dharma artifact would automatically advance. There was no need to modify the pattern. The 5 Dharma artifacts didn't consume too much of the gift of heaven and earth. Wang Daoyuan transferred a large amount of his essence, energy, and spirit into the 5 elements spiritual fire. At this moment, the spiritual field in the spiritual pearl was trembling slightly. The 5 elements spiritual meridians kept extending. The meridians had begun to produce level 6 spirit qi. The spiritual fires in the space were all seed fires. Only the life spiritual fire was nourished by the mysterious sky green spirit peach. Its grade didn't fall too much. It had reached the peak of level 5. The other spiritual fires were far inferior. Even with the nourishment of the 5 elements essence, only the red sun primordial fire had reached the upper grade of level 5. It was congenitally deficient, so its space for growth was severely limited. Absorbing the gift of heaven and earth before was very beneficial to these spiritual fires. The gift of heaven and earth from the soul formation heavenly tribulation would only be more effective. Soon the life spiritual fire was the first to break through to level 6. The other 4 spiritual fires had also reached the upper grade of level 5 and were not far from the peak of level 5. After the mysterious sky green spirit peach received some gift of heaven and earth, its spiritual energy began to fluctuate. It seemed that it was about to advance. When it reached level 6, it would be able to bear peaches. The mysterious sky green spirit peach was a sacred medicine for healing. Even if its foundation was severely damaged or its limbs were crippled, it could still recover. After the spiritual fires were all saturated, Wang Daoyuan used the essence, energy and spirit to cast a spell and turned it into a rain that watered the entire spiritual pearl. Yun Yi, that lazy guy, also flew out of the pond and tried his best to absorb the rain. In addition to drawing the rain into the spiritual pearl, Ying Long, who was between the eyebrows of his primordial spirit, also benefited a lot. It had been devouring the gift of heaven and earth since the beginning. It also had the Nanming primordial fire given by Wang Mingchen in its stomach. It was originally only an inferior level 4 spiritual fire. After receiving a large amount of nourishment from the gift of heaven and earth, it improved to the superior level 4 in just a day. After another day, there was only about a quarter of the gift of heaven and earth left in his body. He also gave some of the gift of heaven and earth to Zhou Xian. Her body was too weak and she often fell into a deep sleep because of overwork. Chapter 1006. Wang Daoyuan stood up and glanced at his surroundings. Before the tribulation there were many boulders nearby, but now they were all broken. The main target of the semi-god realm tribulation was Wang Daoyuan, but the energy was too terrifying. Even a little bit of it would cause the mountains to collapse and the earth to crack. There were too many gifts from heaven and earth. Without the space of the spiritual pearl, it was impossible to absorb them all by himself. If it was an ordinary person, a lot of it would definitely be leaked out. This was also to compensate for the loss of the tribulation ground. However, Wang Daoyuan had the space of the spiritual pearl, so he could absorb more or less. Only a small amount would be leaked out. He took out Lei Peng's flying boat and brought Zhou Xian, his doppelganger, and the Xianxia cauldron onto the flying boat. Wang Daoyuan drew out a large amount of spiritual power and injected it into the Xianxia cauldron. There are still a lot of gifts from heaven and earth in my spiritual power. It should be able to help you recover to the mid-grade of the 6th rank. The Xianxia appeared and thanked him profusely. Then Wang Daoyuan put it into the space of the spiritual pearl. The 2 doppelganger went to control the flying boat and leave this place as soon as possible. After all, the tribulation was too loud and might attract monsters. Although Wang Daoyuan didn't care about low-grade 6th rank monsters, once they got entangled, the gifts from heaven and earth would be wasted. The 2 of them came to the bedroom. Zhou Xian asked, "I heard that the inner demon tribulation might cause serious damage to the mind. You were still unconscious before. Are you okay?" "Shadow Master, don't worry. I'm fine now. It's just that there are still a lot of gifts from heaven and earth. My body can't absorb any more. There's about a quarter left. I'll leave it all to you. Absorb as much as you can. At the same time, nourish your natal Dharma artifact. If you really can't absorb it, I'll send it to the secret realm. The gifts from heaven and earth of a semi-god realm cultivator are difficult to control. How are you going to give it to me?" Wang Daoyuan took out a beast skin book seriously. "This is the inheritance of the Valley of Beasts. You'll understand once you read it." Zhou Xian took the beast skin book and blushed after reading one page. "Where did you get this dual cultivation technique from? So frivolous. This is the yin-yang art of intercourse that was derived by a Mahayana cultivator in the Valley of Beasts. During dual cultivation, the meridians of both parties can be temporarily connected. I'll convert all of my spiritual energy into the fire attribute, and you can use your spiritual fire to refine it. This cultivation method is very beneficial to the physical body. You often overwork yourself, so you can use this to improve your physical body. This senior was worried that the younger generation wouldn't be able to cultivate well, so he added some pictures. What a good person. Be good and study hard. After persuading her for a long time, Zhou Xian finally agreed to cultivate. For the next month, the clone controlled Lei Peng's flying ship to fly around the sea. Wang Daoyuan accompanied Zhou Xian to cultivate. The remaining quarter of the gift of heaven and earth was finally consumed. Zhou Xian had only absorbed less than 20% of it. The rest was put into the space of the spiritual pearl by Wang Daoyuan to nurture the more valuable spiritual plants. In this short period of 1 month, Zhou Xian's physical body had made great progress. Now it was very rare for her to fall asleep. After absorbing a lot of gifts of heaven and earth, Yuanying had also made great progress. It was equivalent to 10 years of hard cultivation in the past. After the two of them finished cultivating, Zhou Xian was a little tired. She rested in Wang Daoyuan's arms. After a long time, Zhou Xian asked, "You're already at the soul formation realm. Let's go to the Lonely Star Island as soon as possible. Help the head of the Wen family heal his injuries, ask for a few islands and return to Beiyuan Zhou Xian as soon as possible. I'm worried that the demon clan will do something while we're out." "Don't worry. I left a few clones in Beiyuan. Before I left, I gave them an order. If the demon beasts invaded and they couldn't resist, they would let the ice tortoise self-destruct. Although I'm far away and can't communicate directly with my clones, I can clearly sense them. However, I could clearly sense the death of my clone. Now that my clones haven't done anything, it means that there's no big problem. But you're right. We should go to the Lonely Star Island. Help the Moon Sungcheon take back the position of the head of the family and occupy a few islands. Then we'll return to Beiyuan. Find a way to give the demon clan a hard time and completely solve the problem. If we don't destroy the demon clan, don't even think about building a transit station between the two cultivation worlds." The flying boat stopped wandering around and began to fly to the Lonely Star Island. More than 1,000,000 miles west of the Lonely Star Island, they switched to an ordinary flying boat. They also put away their clones and let Wang Daoyuan control them personally. When they arrived at the cave abode of the Black Ice Fairy on the Lonely Star Island, Wen Zhong was the only one left. Seeing Wang Daoyuan return, he quickly cupped his hands and said, "Greetings, senior. No need to be so polite. Just call me Daoyuzhou. When we first met, our cultivation levels were about the same. I didn't expect that after more than 100 years, my cultivation level has dropped by a whole realm. The younger generation is truly formidable. Master has a hidden place in the Ice Sea. I'll take you and your wife there now." Then he took out a 4th-grade flying boat and left the Lonely Star Island with Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Xian heading north. After flying for 2 days in the vast ice field, they landed on an ice mountain that was less than 1,000 feet tall. As soon as the flying boat landed, the Moon Sungcheon appeared at the foot of the ice mountain. "I should call you Daoyuzhou this time. Seeing that Daoyou's face is glowing, your essence, qi and spirit must be no weaker than a mid-stage soul formation cultivator. My cultivation path has been cut off, so I can't compare to you." Wang Daoyuan didn't hold back. "When Daoyu is too kind. Your talent is not bad. After you heal your wounds, it won't be a problem for you to cultivate to the late-stage soul formation. We still have other things to do, so let's heal as soon as possible." The Moon Sungcheon could only smile apologetically. "Please follow me." Then the 4 of them walked into a hidden door at the foot of the ice mountain. After walking for some distance inside the ice mountain, they arrived in front of a light screen. "When I was young, I traveled around and found this small mystic realm by chance. Only a few of my trusted subordinates and I know about this place." Then he walked into the mystic realm first. Although Wang Daoyuan didn't take the Moon Sungcheon's strength seriously, he didn't underestimate him either. After greeting the Xianxia cauldron and getting ready to attack at any time, he followed the Moon Sungcheon into the mystic realm. This mystic realm wasn't big, with a radius of about 50 kilometers. There was a 5th-grade elemental spirit vein in the mystic realm. Because the spirit vein was elemental, the climate in the mystic realm wasn't a world of ice and snow. Instead, there were mountains, rivers, and many spirit fields. The Moon Sungcheon brought them to a spacious stone room. The Black Ice Fairy and 5 Yuanying cultivators were all here. Seeing the 4 of them walk in, everyone stood up and bowed. Among them, A late-stage Yuanying cultivator with white hair stared at Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan for a long time. This young man is indeed talented. He can cultivate to the soul formation stage without any rotten aura on him. It shouldn't be a problem for him to cultivate to the peak of the soul formation stage. It's a pity that he already has a wife. Otherwise, a marriage alliance with our Wen clan would be a wonderful thing. Our Wen clan's eldest daughter has a 9-inch ice spirit vein, so it shouldn't be difficult for her to cultivate to the late-stage soul formation stage. The tri-elemental spirit vein was formed by the fusion of two types of spirit veins, so it was very difficult for a heavenly spirit vein to appear. The fact that the Black Ice Fairy has a 9-inch ice spirit root means that her talent isn't inferior to a 9-inch 5-elemental spirit root. Another middle-aged late-stage Yuanying cultivator added, "It's not a problem that he's already married. We cultivators either don't have a Dao partner or have a group of wives and concubines. It's just that our Wen clan's eldest daughter has a noble status. She can't be someone's concubine." Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan naturally understood the meaning behind their words. They wanted Wang Daoyuan to marry the Black Ice Fairy. Moreover, the Black Ice Fairy was going to be the main wife. They weren't just saying this casually. It was most likely the Moon Sungchion's idea. Wang Daoyuan chuckled. "Don't forget a poor friend and don't leave a wife who has gone through hardships. I met Luana when I was still in the Violet Palace realm. If it weren't for her, I wouldn't be where I am today. After being married for more than 200 years, she gave birth to 3 children for me. The eldest has a 9-inch fire spirit root and is born with a natural body for battle. Most of my businesses are managed by him. The second has a 9-inch metal spirit root and is born with a sword body. The youngest has a 9-inch wood spirit root and is born with a spiritual body. How can a mother be a concubine when she gives birth to a child with outstanding talent? I have no intention of marrying again. When Daoyu, there's no need to probe any further." Chapter 1007. Upon hearing this, Zhou Wan pretended to be ashamed. "We don't have many children. We only have 3 good-for-nothing children. Please excuse us." However, the arrogance in her eyes betrayed her. Others couldn't see it, but she couldn't hide it from Wang Daoyuan. The Wen family members in the stone room were shocked. The 3 children all had special constitutions and their spirit roots were so strong. Any one of them was more talented than Wen Bingxian. They had long suspected that Wang Daoyuan was a disciple of a hidden power, but now it seemed that they had underestimated him. There were many Yuanying cultivators in the Sea of 7 Stars, and there were also many female Yuanying cultivators. As long as their cultivation level was not lower than that of the Yuanying cultivators, their descendants would all have heavenly spirit roots. In the Xianxia Xiaoxian community, heavenly spirit roots were not rare. However, there were also differences in heavenly spirit roots. Even if the parents were Yuanying cultivators, it was not easy for them to have a heavenly spirit root that was more than 9.5 inches. A battle physique plus a 9.7-inch heavenly spirit root was considered a top talent in the Sea of 7 Stars. As for the spirit body, it had nothing to do with the parents' cultivation level. To a large extent, it depended on luck. If the parents were mortals, it was also possible for them to have spirit body descendants. The Xianxia Xiaoxian community was formed by islands, which were often attacked by demon beasts. There were not many mortals and low-level cultivators, so there were naturally not many spirit body cultivators. A 9.7-inch heavenly spirit root with a spirit body was too scary. A younger early-stage Yuanying cultivator asked, "What is a sword body?" After asking, he realized that he had said something wrong and was a little embarrassed. Moon Sungchion came back to his senses. A sword body is a type of battle physique and it is much stronger than ordinary battle physiques. A Mahayana sword cultivator's divine ability must be related to sword cultivation. Only then will there be a higher possibility of leaving behind a sword body for their descendants. If their cultivation level is low, the possibility of their descendants having a sword body is very small. People with a sword body are all natural sword cultivators. From the moment they were born, they carried with them a murderous aura. When he used ordinary offensive spells, his power would far surpass that of ordinary cultivators. In addition to being able to learn the sword will without a teacher, one could also use the innate killing intent to cultivate the natal sword chi. Relying on this natal sword chi, fighting above his level was a piece of cake. Zhou Daoyu's second son had such talent. As long as he could find a rank 7 spirit vein, it would not be impossible for him to cultivate to the almighty realm. In the vast Xianxia community, there hasn't been a sword body for tens of thousands of years. There are only records of it in ancient books. The early-stage Yuanying cultivator was also shocked. He didn't expect the sword body to be so strong. After a long while, everyone regained their senses. Their faces were filled with respect. To be able to give birth to a descendant with a sword body, it was very likely that there had been a Mahayana sword cultivator among their ancestors. Just this foundation alone was not something the Wen clan could compare to. How could the Taoist companion of such an outstanding disciple of a hidden great power be an ordinary person? He must also have an extremely prominent family background. Meddling in other people's family affairs could easily lead to trouble. If a few soul formation cultivators were to be provoked, the Wen clan would not be able to clean up the mess. The Yuanying cultivator who had previously asked Wang Daoyuan to marry the Black Ice Fairy cupped his hands and said, "Senior Zhou, I didn't expect you to have such a family background. I have been rude." Wang Daoyuan waved his hand and said, "It's okay. Let's heal Wen Daoyu first. This place is a bit shabby. There are no meditation rooms or anything like that. Can I heal here?" Of course. Daoyu received the gift of heaven and earth after the soul formation heavenly tribulation. His essence soul should be intact. You only need to check the injuries on his physical body. Daoyu, please retract the spirit qi in your physical body. Don't stop me from checking. Moon Xianxia nodded and retracted all the spirit qi in his physical body. Wang Daoyuan condensed the ice spirit qi from the water and gold spirit qi and injected it into Moon Xianxia's body, circulating it through his meridians. Daoyu's physical body has a lot of injuries. Many of his internal organs are injured. However, most of his injuries have recovered by more than 90%. The remaining ones can only be said to be some lingering problems in his divine sense. As long as he doesn't try to break through to the Mahayana realm, there won't be any major problems. The biggest problem is that his qi and blood are constantly flowing out. Improving his essence soul and physical body requires a large amount of qi and blood. It's already quite difficult to maintain the current state with the remaining qi and blood. It's impossible for him to go any further. Old injuries are difficult to heal. If you want to remove the roots of your injuries, I can't do anything unless I find some heavenly treasure. However, I have a way to make these injuries not affect your cultivation. Hearing that there was hope, everyone in the Wen clan looked expectant. Moon Xianxia quickly said, "Daoyu, please tell me what you can do. No matter what reward you want, as long as I can give it, I won't refuse." Last time when the Seven Stars Secret Realm opened, the Wen clan, Blood Shark and the Seven Stars Alliance fought over some artifact forging and puppet forging inheritances. When Daoyu retakes the position of clan head, just give me the copies of these inheritances. The young Yuanying cultivator spoke without thinking again. We haven't heard of this before. Only the Wen clan's trader, the Seven Stars Alliance and the higher-ups of Blood Shark should know about this. Since you know so much, could you be the early Yuanying cultivator from back then? Moon Xianxia angrily rebuked, "Don't talk nonsense." The cultivator quickly stood up and bowed. "I misspoke. Please forgive me." Wang Daoyuan waved his hand. "Even if I didn't say this, Miss Wen and Wen Zhong would have guessed it. That's right, I'm the early Yuanying cultivator who entered the Ziwei Palace back then. I also stole most of the artifact forging inheritances." Moon Xianxia had guessed that it was him before, but he wasn't sure. Now that Wang Daoyuan admitted it, he had no choice but to believe it. On second thought, it didn't matter even if this matter was spread. Wang Daoyuan didn't have any assets in Xianxia community. Who could do anything to a soul formation cultivator who had nothing to worry about? Don't worry. Some inheritance copies won't be a problem. This matter can't be spread. Anyone who disobeys will be removed from the family tree. The Wen clan members naturally knew the severity of the matter, so they all agreed. Let's heal first. When Daoyu's injuries have dragged on for more than 300 years, there's not much hope of getting rid of the roots. Relying on the life force in the spirit fire alone won't be of much use. Then he took out a blood lotus seed. This item can heal the decline of blood and qi. When Daoyu should have no problem healing the decline of blood and qi if he takes this and uses it with his life force. The remaining blood lotus seed was planted in the space of the spirit pearl. During the chaos in the southern wasteland, he caught a late-stage golden core blood demon and used his blood essence to grow the first batch of 4th-grade blood lotus seeds. Later he used the blood essence of the Yuanying blood demon to plant another batch. The blood lotus seed in Wang Daoyuan's hands was already a 5th-grade, middle-grade blood lotus seed. However, the blood lotus seed required too much blood essence. Shuequan, a peak-stage Yuanying demon, could only grow 2 true demon blood lotuses at most without affecting his own strength. Moon Sungqian carefully examined the blood lotus seed and exclaimed, "This item contains extremely pure blood and qi. It's indeed extraordinary. Moreover, my Wen clan's ancient records have never mentioned this item." Wen Dai, have you heard of blood demons? This kind of demon appeared in the myriad demon islands. They absorb blood essence to cultivate. This blood lotus seed was nurtured with the blood demon's blood essence. Perhaps things will move in the opposite direction when they reach an extreme. The chaotic energy in the blood demon's blood essence has been purified by the true demon's snow lotus. Only pure blood essence is left in the blood lotus seed. Dai, if you trust me, take the blood lotus seed. I'll use my life force to assist you. It should be able to treat the loss of blood essence. If it can't be cured, I have no other way. I naturally trust Daoyu's character. If he really had any ulterior motives, he could have dealt with me when he brought me out of the secret underwater realm. Finishing his words, he took the blood lotus seed and swallowed it. Then he sat cross-legged on the ground and began to refine the blood lotus seed. A life spirit fire appeared in Wang Daoyuan's hand, and an azure dragon flew out from the fire. The azure dragon opened its mouth and spat out wisps of white mist, which merged into Moon Sungqion's body. The natal magic tool was in the crucial period of forming its spirit, so it couldn't be used casually. Using the Azure Dragon reversal technique barehanded was less interesting than using the Azure Dragon Pearl. However, the life force and the blood lotus seed from before were real. Moon Sungqian was originally lacking in blood essence. His face was pale and he looked like he was overworked. After swallowing the blood lotus seed for less than 10 breaths, color began to return to his face. Chapter 1008. The blood qi of the blood lotus seed and the life force of the azure dragon flowed rapidly through Wen Qingtian's meridians, flowing through every part of his body and into his blood. The power of the mid-grade level 5 blood lotus seed was not much for a soul formation cultivator, but it still took Moon Sungqian 3 days to completely refine it. At this moment, Moon Sungqion's body was emitting powerful blood qi waves. Although he could not be compared to Wang Daoyuan, he was still much stronger than a late-stage Yuanying cultivator. After refining the last bit of power of the blood lotus seed, Moon Sungqian stopped circulating his spiritual power. He stood up and felt his body. I've never felt so powerful in the past 300 years. Wang Daoyuan turned the azure dragon back into spiritual fire and put it back into his body. How's Daoyu's recovery? My blood qi won't continue to decline. I tried to use spiritual power to convert it. The conversion efficiency is about the same as recorded in the ancient records. There shouldn't be any problems. That's good. I've already done what I promised Daoyu. As an outsider, it's inappropriate for me to interfere with the Wen family's affairs. I'll take my leave first. Then he took out a jade pendant. After you take back the position of the Wen family head, crush this jade pendant. I'll come back for my reward. Moon Sungqian took the jade pendant. Dai, don't worry. I'll take back the position of the family head soon. Wang Daoyuan held Zhou Wan's hand and walked out. The Black Ice Fairy's expression was very strange. There was joy and sadness. However, no one else noticed her. Only Wen Zhong looked at her and sighed. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan left the secret realm and took a flying boat to the southwest. Zhou Wan kept staring at Wang Daoyuan. She stared at him until he felt uncomfortable. Why are you looking at me like that? Who's looking at you like that? I just didn't expect that a lecherous person like you would actually reject the Wen clan's proposal. The Wen clan has more than one divine transformation realm cultivator. If you marry Wen Bingxian, you can borrow the Wen clan's power. With the help of the Wen clan, you can also unify the Sea of Seven Stars faster. If I marry Wen Bingxian, will the Wen clan listen to my orders? With the identity of the Wen family's son-in-law, I'm afraid that some people in the Wen family will think that I'm living off a woman. To subdue the Wen clan he had to marry Wen Bingxian. To subdue the Blood Shark in the Seven Stars Alliance, did he have to marry someone else? In the future, there will be too many forces to subdue in the Battle of Providence. How many wives and concubines will I have to marry? After a moment of silence he said, speaking of which, this doesn't seem too bad. Before he could finish his words he suffered a heavy blow to his waist. I knew you weren't a good person. You eat what's in the bowl and look at what's in the pot. You even planned for things that you didn't see. Lord Shadow Master, please spare me, don't hit my waist. If you hurt my waist I'm not the only one who'll suffer. Zhou Xian snorted coldly and kicked his calf again. Wang Daoyuan had thick skin and flesh, so this attack was nothing to him. Lord Shadow Master, don't worry. Wen Bingxian is just a silly girl. How can she compare to you? We've been Taoist companions for more than 200 years. We know each other very well. If you don't want to get involved in the Wen clan's affairs, where should we go next? Of course we're going to watch the show. Back then I was too weak and was chased by those mad dogs, Blood Shark and the Seven Stars Alliance, so I didn't dare to show my face. Now that I have enough strength, the two enemies are fighting each other again. I'm also curious about what good things they found on our rare treasure island. After flying for hundreds of thousands of miles, something happened in the space of the spiritual pearl. Xianxia said to Wang Daoyuan's doppelganger, Master, the spirit of lava you captured at the bottom of the sea has given in. Wang Daoyuan took out the Xianxia cauldron. Xianxia quickly showed off. Master, I tortured this guy for a long time. He finally gave in. Please decide what to do with him. This guy has great potential. He'll be very useful in the future. Since he's willing to join us, we'll train him well. Take him out. I'll see if he's sincere. Master, what if he runs away? It doesn't matter. I can take him down when I'm at the peak of Yuanying. Now that I've reached the soul formation stage, I can take him down even if he's in a volcano, let alone on the sea. Then he activated his domain technique. After the breakthrough, the range of his domain technique had also increased. Now it could cover an area of 1,000 miles. A fiery red lava ball gushed out of the Xianxia cauldron and then turned into a human shape. After being tortured by the Xianxia cauldron for a long time, there was no lava to replenish his spiritual power. Now the spirit of lava was only 3 meters tall and was no longer as domineering as before. Wang Daoyuan said with his divine sense, Are you willing to submit to me? This spirit of lava had very little contact with humans and couldn't understand human language before. Don't bother. I've learned to speak human language from this damn cauldron. I didn't expect you to be so smart. Of course. I'm a naturally born spirit, unlike that damn cauldron which was created by humans. Seeing that this guy thought so highly of himself, Wang Daoyuan was delighted. It was good that he was willing to communicate. The worst thing was that he was silent. Artificial spirits are not necessarily bad. With the help of Master they can grow faster. You must have stayed in the lava at the bottom of the sea for more than 10,000 years to grow to your current level. My artifact spirit was born less than 100 years ago and is now sleeping. When they wake up they will be level 6 artifact spirits and be stronger than you. As long as they are not too far away from the artifact they will have endless power. After you leave the lava you will be weak. The spirit of lava was not convinced, but he did not continue to argue. Are you willing to submit or not? If you are, take me as your master and cultivate in my personal mystic realm. It won't take long for you to break through to level 6. If you don't agree I won't keep a threat by my side. A naturally born spirit should be the best tonic for an artifact spirit. The Xianxia is drooling over you. Hearing this, the spirit of lava was a little conflicted. No matter what, it was a naturally born spirit. It would be too embarrassing to submit like this. But if it didn't submit it would be devoured. I can submit, but you have to show me what you're capable of. You didn't catch me with your true ability. If you can defeat me head-on I can submit to you. Okay, you go first. The spirit of lava did not attack Wang Daoyuan. Instead he turned around and dove into the sea. The Xianxia was a little anxious and wanted to control the Xianxia cauldron to chase after him. Wang Daoyuan waved his hand. Don't worry. He doesn't have much spirit energy left. There is no way he can escape. 2 breaths later a ball of water floated out of the sea. The spirit of lava was wrapped inside. Wang Daoyuan summoned Yinglong. Since you are not willing to submit, there is no need for me to keep you. Yinglong dove into the ball of water and bound the spirit of lava. The Xianxia cauldron also pressed down on him. The spirit of lava begged for mercy. I am willing to submit. Wang Daoyuan waved his hand and Yinglong flew over with the spirit of lava. I have many experts under me. It doesn't matter if you have one or not. Don't think too highly of yourself. If you continue to play tricks, the Xianxia won't be the only one who wants to eat you. You've seen my winged dragon avatar before. Even the artifact spirit of a mighty figure's artifact admitted defeat. What can you do? I will use the master recognition technique on you. This is your last chance to live. If you resist and cause the master recognition technique to fail, it will be too late for you to beg for mercy. There were many similarities between the master recognition technique and the master recognition technique of the spirit of nature. After all, the ancestors of the demon beasts were all ancient mutated beasts. These ancient mutated beasts were basically born and bred by heaven and earth. They were also considered spirits of nature. The Valley of Beasts had a huge inheritance system and was involved in all aspects. However, when it started, it was still mainly beast taming. Naturally, there was no lack of methods to recognize a master. The methods to control spirit beasts and spirits of nature could be called the spirit manipulation technique. The spirit manipulation technique was an extremely huge inheritance system. The methods to control spirit beasts and spirits were different. The method Wang Daoyuan used was the spirit manipulation technique left behind by the founder of the Valley of Beasts, the Divine Beast Venerable. He forced out a drop of blood essence and integrated a wisp of divine consciousness into it. Then he controlled the blood essence and drew complicated inscriptions out of thin air. He had never used such a profound method to make the spirit of beasts recognize a master before. It took him an hour to draw out all the ownership recognition inscriptions. The spirit of lava was still a little unconvinced and wanted to struggle. Wang Daoyuan snorted coldly. You can resist. If you fail, you will die. After saying that, he began to use the spirit manipulation technique. The inscriptions condensed from the blood essence and divine consciousness were integrated into the spirit of lava's spirit. Spirits of nature and weapon spirits were unformed spirit clans. They had something similar to a spirit, but they did not have a spirit essence. They could not be called spirits. This fellow looked unwilling, but it did not dare to resist. After 15 minutes, the inscriptions merged with its spirit. Chapter 1009. After recognizing him as its master, Wang Daoyuan made the lava spirit cry out in pain. What did you do to me? With that, his body glowed brightly and he was about to spit out flames. Wang Daoyuan used the spirit control technique again, but his technique was interrupted. The secret technique I used on you is a type of spirit control technique. As long as I think about it, no matter where you run, you will be in so much pain that you wish you were dead. If I want you to die, it will be easy. He then summoned a wisp of scarlet yang primordial flame. I have countless tier 6 spirit flames. As long as you are obedient, your cultivation speed will not be any slower than the setting sun abyss. In the future, you will have a chance to become a true spirit race individual. If you play any tricks, you will not only be eaten by Xianxia. Spirit race. The lava spirit was confused. Xianxia explained, weapon spirits like us and nature spirits like you are not complete life forms. But we can go one step further and become a real life form. When the Qianyuan world was first formed, it was barren everywhere and there were no life forms. Later on, a group of spirit race was naturally born, and many of them had the strength of an earth immortal when they were born. Some of these spirit race gradually died out, while others left behind their bloodlines. The one pestering you now is one of the strongest spirit race back then, Yinglong. The top 5 elements divine beasts are all descendants of Yinglong. Not only is he strong, but he is also favored by the Qianyuan world's providence. Our master is able to control Yinglong, so he must be a person with great providence. It is not impossible for him to become an earth immortal in the future. We help our master to conquer the world, and we can also obtain some of his providence and become a real spirit race in existence like the ancient mutated beasts. Now that the Qianyuan world is not as good as before, it is very difficult to give birth to another spirit race. This is the north of the decimating heaven abyss, and the spirit chi is gradually drying up. We have no hope of becoming a real spirit race. In the future, the spirit veins in the sunset abyss will also gradually dry up, and when the spirit chi in the lava drops below level 5, You will slowly die. The spirit of lava fell into deep thought. He had stayed in the sunset abyss for many years and naturally knew that the spirit energy in the spirit vein had been decreasing slowly. He had always wanted to find a way to survive, but he was a lava spirit born at the bottom of the sea. The spiritual energy in other places was even weaker than in the setting sun abyss, so he didn't know where to go. A nature spirit was not like an artifact spirit. As long as the artifact was not destroyed, even if it fell below the 5th grade, the artifact spirit would only be in a deep slumber. There was still a chance for it to wake up in the future. Once a nature spirit couldn't find a level 5 spiritual energy, it would slowly wither away and wouldn't have the chance to hibernate. I can follow you, but I don't want to be tied down. In your dreams, you have to take care of whoever's bowl. If you want to benefit from me, you have to be obedient. Your wild nature is hard to tame. If I don't use the Imperial Spirit technique to restrain you when it's time to use you, you'll retaliate and I won't have a place to cry. There's nothing wrong with me. If you're obedient, why would I torture you? Besides, I don't want to torture anyone. If you don't listen, I'll let Yinglong and the Xianxia eat you. The lava spirit felt a little wronged, but it had no choice but to listen obediently when it met someone who was strong and unreasonable. Since you've submitted to me, you have to have a name. I'll call you Spirited Flame from now on. Cultivate well in my secret realm, and it's only a matter of time before you reach the 6th grade. Then he put the Xianxian cauldron and spirited flame into the space of the spiritual pearl. Zhou Xian asked, "Are we going to the Rare Treasures Island next? I heard that there are countless blood corals there. I want to take a look." That's the foothold of the blood shark's attack on the 7 big islands. It's also the focus of the battle between the two sides. There should be many soul formation cultivators there. If we go there rashly, we can only fight with the blood shark. The entire Sea of 7 Stars is in a mess. There's no place to stay. We'll go to the Fire Lotus Island at the northernmost part of the Demon Islands. That's the important trade point between the Sea of 7 Stars and the Demon Islands. Usually, many itinerant cultivators who couldn't survive in the Sea of 7 Stars came here to make a living. Now the Sea of 7 Stars was fighting on the Rare Treasures Island, which was an important trade point. The itinerant cultivators on the island wouldn't just sit there and wait for death. They would definitely flee in all directions. Both sides would not provoke the myriad demons archipelago. Therefore, many itinerant cultivators fled to the Fire Lotus Island. We should be able to find out what happened on the Rare Treasures Island if we go there and ask around. The two of them boarded Lei Peng's flying boat and released their clones, Liao Yang and Chen Zhaoyi, to control the flying boat and record the specific situation of the islands and the sea along the way. Shadow Lord, we'll fly from the edge of the Sea of 7 Stars along the western edge of the Sea of 7 Stars to the Demon Islands a few million miles south of the Sea of 7 Stars. Even if there are no demon beasts to disturb us, we'll still have to fly for more than half a month. We can't delay our cultivation. Before Zhou Xian could say anything, he carried her into the bedroom. The flying boat had been flying a few million miles west of the Sea of 7 Stars, but they didn't encounter any itinerant cultivators. Half a month later, Wang Daoyuan felt that the spiritual aura had become somewhat violent. Zhou Wan's cultivation level was slightly lower, but she was still a late-stage Yuanying cultivator after all. She was also awakened by the violent spiritual aura. "Daoyuan, have we reached the Demon Islands? We shouldn't be far away, but there's still enough time. Why don't we hurry up and..." Zhou Xian pinched his waist. "Get up. Don't delay our business. I just remembered that you were lying on my chest. I couldn't get up." Zhou Xian waved her hand and a fiery red dress flew over. A red light flashed. Zhou Xian had already put on her clothes and was sitting in front of the dressing mirror. "Why did you put on your clothes so quickly?" After saying that, she also got up and put on her clothes. The two of them changed to an ordinary flying boat and suppressed their cultivation level to the late-stage Yuanying. A few days later, they landed in a market square in the north of the Fire Lotus Island. As soon as the two of them landed, a young golden core cultivator immediately approached them. "Seniors, I've lived here for dozens of years and know the Fire Lotus Island very well. What do you want to buy? I can help you." This was the broker here, but he was just an amateur. The young man in front of them had a fiery aura and a medicinal fragrance. He should be an alchemist. Alchemists and blacksmiths who weren't very skilled would come out to find something to do and earn some cultivation resources when they were nurturing medicinal pills and magic tools. No need. When I lived on this island, you probably hadn't formed your core yet. The young man was somewhat embarrassed. I was too rash. After he left, Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "This Fire Lotus Island is much more lively than before. 100 years ago there were very few cultivators here. Now the number has increased by at least 4 or 5 times. When the Seven Stars Alliance and Blood Shark started fighting, many cultivators ran here to take refuge. I wonder if the small courtyard I bought back then has been sold." The two of them walked towards the southeast corner of the market square. Soon they arrived near the courtyard they bought. Back then this courtyard was in the southeast corner of the market square. There were no other buildings around it. Now the market square extended more than 10 miles into the depths of the island. This courtyard could be considered to be in the downtown area. His doppelganger rummaged through the space in the spiritual pearl for a long time before finding the formation token of this courtyard. Wang Daoyuan tested it with the token. As expected, the defensive formation of the courtyard was turned off. It seems like the manager of this market square isn't completely evil. After not coming here for so many years, he still hasn't taken away my courtyard. Let's go in. At this moment, a mid-stage Yuanying cultivator at the entrance of the courtyard next door shouted, "Are you Wu Chuan Daoyu?" Wang Daoyuan turned around. It was a familiar face. This person was Li Qin, the one who went out to sea to hunt demonic beasts when they first came to Rare Treasures Island. 100 years ago we parted ways on Rare Treasures Island. I didn't expect to meet Brother Li here. It's really you. I heard that you were hunted down by the Huang family. I was too weak to help you. I was worried about you. I didn't expect you to be fine. You even reached the late stage Yuanying. Don't mention it. I was hunted down by Master Huang and hid in the myriad demon islands for nearly 100 years. Why did Brother Li come to this Fire Lotus Island? The Huang family wouldn't go so far as to hunt you down, right? That's not it. The Huang family doesn't have the time to care about me. After you left, I still hunted demonic beasts on Rare Treasures Island like before. However, Blood Shark and the Seven Stars Alliance started a war and the rogue cultivators all fled. Naturally, I didn't dare to continue staying on Rare Treasures Island. So, I took a flying boat to the myriad demon islands with Daoyu. After traveling for a few years, I felt that Fire Lotus Island was the most suitable place to stay. I've already lived here for more than 10 years. May I know who this Daoyu is? This is my Dao companion. Let's not talk about this first. I've been wandering around the myriad demon islands all these years. I don't know much about the Sea of Seven Stars. I wanted to take revenge on Rare Treasures Island, but I heard that Blood Shark and the Seven Stars Alliance started a war. I was just about to find someone to ask about it. Brother Li, you've been staying on Rare Treasures Island all year round. Do you know the inside story? I know a little but not much. It's good that you know a little. Let's talk inside. Then he opened the door of the courtyard. The courtyard hadn't been cleaned for 100 years and was covered in dust. He waved his hand and cast an immaculate art. The entire courtyard became clean and tidy. The three sat down in the room. Li Qin smiled and said, "This matter is spreading like wildfire outside. Some say that it's a fight for treasure. Some say that a large-scale secret realm has been discovered on Rare Treasures Island, comparable to the Seven Stars secret realm. Some say that the Imperial Wind Sovereign, the sect master of the Imperial Regency, has returned and has broken through the Great Ascension realm. There are many such rumors, but most of them have no basis. However, the discovery of a large-scale secret realm might be true. A few years before Blood Shark attacked, there were many earthquakes in the deep sea south of Rare Treasures Island. However, as soon as the earthquake appeared, the Seven Stars Alliance and the Blood Shark pirates sealed off the sea region, making it impossible for others to enter. I'm not sure what good things have appeared. At that time, there were rumors that there were strong spatial fluctuations at the bottom of the sea. Maybe a new secret realm has appeared. That's not right. If there were signs a few years ago, the Seven Stars Alliance wouldn't be so unprepared. Although the two sides maintain a balance, the Seven Stars Alliance is stronger. If they were prepared, Blood Shark wouldn't have been able to take Rare Treasures Island. There's something fishy about this matter. I'm not sure. However, a few days before Blood Shark attacked, A strange phenomenon occurred in one of Blood Shark's businesses on Rare Treasures Island. A 300-meter-long golden monster, Kirin, with a purple glow on its body, soared into the sky from the shop. The purple and golden light emitted by Kirin covered an area of 30 to 40 kilometers. Yuanian cultivators could see this scene from thousands of kilometers away. The Kirin hovered above the shop for a dozen breaths of time before slowly disappearing. A rare treasure has appeared on Rare Treasures Island. In order to seize it, Blood Shark didn't hesitate to start a war with the Seven Stars Alliance. This was the reason for the rumors. I've seen this strange Kirin with my own eyes. However, I'm ignorant and don't know what this strange Kirin is or where it came from. Chapter 10:10. The Kirin clan was rare and they didn't have a huge appetite like the Dragon clan. Therefore the Kirin bloodline was extremely rare. Wang Daoyuan had traveled around for hundreds of years, but he had never seen a living Kirin bloodline. He had only seen Dharma artifacts made from Kirin's corpse. Gu Qingfeng's natal Dharma artifact was made from the bones of the yellow-maned Kirin. He also had a beast soul talisman made from the yellow-maned Kirin's soul. Although the spirit veins in the Sea of Seven Stars were of a higher grade, there were still very few legends about Kirin. The strange Kirin that Brotherly mentioned should be some kind of monster with Kirin's bloodline. After all, there are no level 7 spirit veins in the Sea of Seven Stars, so it's impossible for a real Kirin divine beast to appear. It's not a big deal for a monster with Kirin's bloodline to look strange. Brothers, you must be joking. I'm a rogue cultivator and I don't know much. But as a Yuanian cultivator I can still tell the strength of a monster's aura. I've seen the Blood Shark and the Soul Formation cultivators of the Seven Stars Alliance. This strange Kirin's aura is much stronger than a normal half-divine beast. Even the Soul Formation cultivators I've seen are not as strong as this strange Kirin. Hearing that, Wang Daoyuan felt a little strange. Generally speaking, the strength of a monster with a divine beast's bloodline mainly depended on the purity of the divine beast's bloodline. If this strange Kirin was only a monster with Kirin's bloodline and was stronger than a normal half-divine beast, then its bloodline should be pure. Then his Qilin bloodline should be relatively pure, and his appearance should be similar to a real Qilin, so it shouldn't be too strange. I'm a bit curious. What does this Kirin look like that Brotherly calls it a strange Kirin? This strange Kirin looks very strange. It's half dragon and half Kirin. Its torso is similar to a legendary Kirin and it also has 4 hooves. But a normal Kirin's tail isn't long and has a long mane. This strange Kirin's tail is thick and long, more like a dragon's tail. Its neck is also much longer than a Kirin's and its head is smaller than a Kirin's head. Dragon horns and Kirins, but there are differences Kirin's horns. But this strange Kirin's horns have 2 horns. You have horns as have horns, longs. The strange Qilin's horns were extremely long. If one were to compare the size of its head, it would be even longer than the average dragon's horns. T have 9 Kirin's. Kirint, as have Kirin's, wings. The wings weren't big and they were always curled up. If one didn't look carefully it would be hard to notice. I wasn't far away at that time so I saw it very clearly. This Kirin was indeed strange. It had the characteristics of a dragon, a phoenix and a Kirin at the same time. The older the dragon race is, the longer their dragon horns will be. They will also grow some small forks. The characteristics of the strange Kirin horns are indeed similar to those of the dragon clan. It might have some dragon clan bloodline. That's possible. At that time I did feel that Kirin's aura was a bit like a dragon's. However, this dragon might is extremely strong. It's not something that ordinary dragons can compare to. Is that strange Kirin a living demonic beast? Or is it an illusion? I can't say for sure. Even if it's a spell from a deity transformation cultivator, it's impossible for it to have such a powerful aura. Moreover, the strange Kirin was extremely agile and could not be imitated by magic. However, it was unlikely that it was a living creature. With the appearance of such a powerful demonic beast, the surrounding shops and houses had long been destroyed. It's no wonder that after the Kirin appeared, the nearby buildings were not damaged at all. I also heard that no cultivators were injured. After saying this he looked at Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Xian and said with a smile, "Wu brothers and sister-in-law have just arrived so I won't disturb you. I'm just an itinerant cultivator, so this is all I know. Goodbye. Wang Daoyuan walked him to the door and then activated the formation. Moreover, he checked every corner of the courtyard to make sure that no one had left any tricks behind. One must always be on guard against others. Blood Shark already knew that Wu Chuan was Zhou Ming. If he was willing to spend a lot of effort to investigate, he might be able to find the Fire Lotus Island. After a thorough search, he didn't find any problems. After returning to the room, Zhou Wan was a bit puzzled. What is this strange Kirin that Li Chen mentioned? It's impossible for that strange Kirin to be a mixed-blood divine beast. After all, mixed-blood divine beasts aren't strong to begin with. They're even weaker than a half-divine beast. Those half-divine beasts have the bloodlines of divine beasts and ordinary demonic beasts. The bloodlines of ordinary demonic beasts naturally can't be compared to those of divine beasts. Therefore, the divine beast bloodlines of half-divine beasts have an absolute advantage. Even if the concentration of divine beast bloodlines is low, they can still display the obvious characteristics of divine beasts. However, if one has two types of divine beast bloodlines at the same time, both bloodlines won't be able to gain the upper hand. If the bloodline advantage can't be used, the mixed blood divine beast will usually be very weak. If one has the characteristics of a dragon and a phoenix Kirin at the same time, it's even harder to produce an expert with three types of divine beast bloodlines. In the ancient records of Blood Shadow, there are no records of powerful mixed blood divine beasts. In the records of the Valley of Beasts, are there any records of mixed blood experts with three types of divine beasts? Wang Daoyuan shook his head. When two types of bloodlines are mixed, there's a very small chance of producing an extremely powerful offspring. The records of the Valley of Beasts have recorded such divine beasts. However, there are no records of mixed blood descendants with three types of divine beasts. This definitely isn't a mixed blood of a dragon and a phoenix Kirin. I think I can guess what this mixed blood divine beast is. What is it? This is Kenma. It's related to the dragon and the phoenix Kirin at the same time, but it's not a mixed blood divine beast. In the ancient records of Blood Shadow, there's no mention of this divine beast. What is it? Kenma is the son of Yinglong. Yinglong gave birth to Kenma and Kenma gave birth to Kirin. Its appearance should be between Yinglong and Kirin. Looking at it this way, the strange Kirin that Li Chen mentioned isn't so strange. Kenma is the same as Yinglong. There's only one of them in the world. Although it created the Kirin race, it quickly disappeared. According to Li Chen, that thing suddenly appeared and disappeared without leaving a trace. It shouldn't have a physical body. Kenma is an ancient divine beast and it's not very famous. Even Blood Shadow doesn't know about Kenma. The inheritance of the Sea of Seven Stars isn't as good as Beiyuan's, so they shouldn't know about this divine beast. That strange Kirin shouldn't be anyone's magic. It might really be a treasure from ancient times. Wang Daoyuan pondered for a long time, then said, "There's another possibility. This Kenma is someone's purple mansion anomaly. There are very few legends about Kenma, and there's never been any mention of the purple light. Yinglong and Kirin don't have any means related to the purple light, so Kenma shouldn't have it either." Also, Li Chen said that this Kenma is extremely intelligent. Magic tools and spells imitate the divine beast's form. Even if it's just a copy, it will appear to have form but no spirit. As the son of Yinglong and the ancestor of the 5 divine beasts, Kenma's luck isn't low. If a cultivator uses a spell in the form of Yinglong, it's very easy for them to suffer a backlash. Kenma might also have this characteristic, so it shouldn't be a spell. There's only one Kenma in the world, and it disappeared during the ancient times. Can't be his soul. It's very intelligent and not a soul, so it's most likely a purple mansion anomaly. The golden light that appeared in Kenma covered the purple light when the purple mansion was opened, so no one thought of this. Why would a purple mansion anomaly cause such a huge commotion? Have you forgotten about Ming Ren and Ming Xian? Their purple mansion anomaly stunned the entire Qingli city. How can that be the same? Ming Ren and Ming Xian are my children. Also, you're the son of Providence. They're your children, so they should have some luck. It's normal for them to be better than ordinary people. But there's more than one son of Providence. You're saying that this Kenma was born when a son of Providence opened his purple mansion, and that a son of Providence appeared in Blood Shark? Wang Daoyuan nodded. Li Chen said that a few years before the war, the southern sea of rare treasures island trembled, and there were spatial fluctuations. It's very likely that a mystic realm appeared. The two families didn't start a war because of this. Instead, they cooperated and sealed off the news. A few days after Kenma appeared, Blood Shark suddenly attacked. It's clear that Kenma's value is even higher than a mystic realm. Although the Imperial Regency doesn't have a deep foundation, it still has a lot of inheritance from Xinlian school. In the history of Xinlian school, more than one powerful person has appeared, so there must be a lot of records about the Son of Providence. It's not strange that Blood Shark and the Seven Stars Alliance know about the Son of Providence. I'm guessing that this Son of Providence wasn't valued by Blood Shark before and was casually thrown on Rare Treasures Island. In the end, he opened his purple mansion and caused a huge commotion. Perhaps he was worried that the Seven Stars Alliance would find out about the Son of Providence, so he acted first. He could keep the secret of the Son of Providence and take the mystic realm that might exist for himself. In any case, the two sides will fight sooner or later. If he takes the initiative, he might have a better chance of winning. That makes sense. He really might be the Son of Providence. But I don't understand. You're also a Son of Providence, but you're already a soul formation cultivator. Why did the Son of Providence of the Sea of Seven Stars only open his purple mansion? Also, you're also a Son of Providence, but your avatar is Yinglong. Why is his avatar Kenma so coincidentally? Could it be that you're going easy on him behind my back? Wang Daoyuan was speechless that he could connect all these things together. What's the relationship between the two? That 5 elements divine beast is Yinglong's grandchild and Mingchen's son? Kenma is definitely not as good as Yinglong. His cultivation level is also lower than mine. Isn't this Son of Providence delivering food to me? Could it be that the strength of a Son of Providence is related to the place of birth? Forget it, I won't think about it if I can't figure it out. Maybe there's no Son of Providence here, or maybe there's someone else. Kenma showed up this time because he dug up some ancient treasure. Don't be careless. Your purple mansion avatar was originally a 5 elements divine beast. It only turned into Yinglong after you broke through to Yuanying. This person's Kenma avatar only looks like he just opened his purple mansion. Maybe he'll be able to advance to the nascent soul stage in the future. What should we do next? Should we get involved in the war between the two clans, or should we just stay here and watch the show? Wang Daoyuan took out a level 5 magic artifact, a carved wooden bed from his spiritual pearls space. He smiled and said, "Of course we're going to work hard and cultivate." Zhou Xian spat lightly. "I'm serious. How are we going to deal with the Seven Stars Alliance and Blood Shark? If there's really a Son of Providence and he's allowed to grow, you'll be in danger. There's no rush to get involved in this matter for now. A Son of Providence isn't omnipotent. Blood Shark's overall strength is on the weaker side. It'll be difficult for them to win in a short period of time. We can use this time to move some of our clansmen here and establish a branch of the Chamber of Commerce to expand our strength. After we've gained a firm foothold, we'll think of a way to stir up the conflict between the two clans." You're tuning in to the Zhou Xian's Legacy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.